Chapter 5:11. Stepping into the arc of light, Lin Yi only felt his body lighten, and his entire soul was in a daze. In the next moment, when he opened his eyes again, Lin Yi was already in a sea of lightning. Crackle! Lightning continued to fall, and one after another, silver-white thunderbolts fell like raindrops. The violent thunderbolts, mixed with surging pressure, pressed down on Lin Yi like a huge mountain. Bang! Crackle! Suddenly, several thunderbolts struck Lin Yi's body. Ah! With a cry of surprise, Lin Yi was surprised to find that the seemingly violent thunderbolts struck his body, but there was no reaction at all. Not to mention pain, he didn't even feel the numbness of the thunderbolt. The thunderbolts here are so weak? Raising his hand, Lin Yi flew up, facing the several thunderbolts. Bang, bang, bang! In the next moment, 3 more thunderbolts struck Lin Yi's body. Lightning flashed past, but Lin Yi's skin didn't even have any changes. The first level of thunderbolts is so weak? The corner of his mouth twitched. Lin Yi was originally full of interest in the thunderbolts of the heavenly thunder realm. After all, there were elders guarding this place, and those who weren't saints couldn't enter. He didn't expect that the first level of thunderbolts would be useless to him. The first level is still too weak to temper my physical body. Phew, let's continue down and see. Taking a deep breath, Lin Yi was just about to leave when he saw a flash of light behind him, and the space suddenly shattered. Raising his brows, Lin Yi hurriedly retreated, but saw that the elder had actually shattered the space, and stepped out of the space passage with both hands holding the space barrier. Little guy, you're too mischievous. You haven't reached the Saint Realm, and any one of the thunderbolts here can kill you. As soon as the elder appeared, he glared at Lin Yi. However, when he realized that several thunderbolts were striking towards Lin Yi, he was instantly terrified. At this moment, he was still in the space tunnel and could not help Lin Yi block the lightning. Crackle! However, when the lightning fell, the elder's face suddenly stiffened. The corner of his mouth twitched, and he gradually revealed a shocked expression. That elder simply couldn't believe his own eyes. He could only stare blankly at Lin Yi. Elder, you've caught up. Lin Yi smiled awkwardly, not feeling the slightest bit of being struck by lightning. The corner of the elder's mouth twitched. He only felt a burning pain on his cheek. He had just said that Lin Yi would be struck to death by the lightning here. He didn't expect that he would be slapped in the face. These thunderbolts can't harm you? Taking a deep breath, the elder asked tentatively. Maybe it's because of the body refining technique that I mainly cultivate. My physique is even stronger than the average saint. Lin Yi rubbed his nose, feeling rather embarrassed. Elder, you might not believe what I said just now, so I could only barge in. Alright. The elder's mouth twitched and he sighed helplessly. Since you're immune to the lightning here, then you can cultivate here. Thank you, elder. Lin Yi grinned and hurriedly cupped his fists in salute. The elder was especially upset. He glanced at Lin Yi and quietly released his hands. His body immediately disappeared into the space tunnel. Before his body completely disappeared, a soft voice floated into Lin Yi's ears. Only after entering the 3rd level space can you refine the Thunder Essence Pill. Also, only the Great Sage can enter the 7th level space. Otherwise, only death awaits you. Hearing this, Lin Yi couldn't help but feel a chill in his heart. Rubbing his nose, Lin Yi turned around and sped away, looking for the arcs of light that led to the 2nd level space. At this moment, Lin Yi finally discovered the rest of the people. It turned out that this space was not isolated. All the students were cultivating in a space. However, the sea of lightning was vast and boundless. The distance between each student was relatively far, so it was difficult to find others. Most of the students cultivating in the 1st level space were freshmen. They had just broken through to the early stage of the Saint Realm, and their auras were still unstable. Because most of the freshmen had joined the Sky Rapier sect and hadn't had time to cultivate here, there were very few people in the 1st level space. Lin Yi sped for a quarter of an hour, but he only saw a dozen people. After a long time, Lin Yi found the entrance to the second-level space. In the second-level space, the power of the lightning was much stronger. Although it still couldn't cause any harm to Lin Yi, it could make him feel numb. However, there were still very few people here. There were only a few people at the early stage of the Saint Realm. They gritted their teeth and desperately resisted the attack of the lightning. Without any hesitation, Lin Ye's figure flashed as he rushed towards the third space. As soon as he entered the third-level space, the original silver-white lightning was dyed with a light blue light. When the lightning struck, Lin Yi suddenly felt a huge force. He staggered and couldn't help but take a few steps back. Not only that, the lightning turned into electric arcs and drilled into Lin Ye's body, raging in his meridians. Noticing this, Lin Ye's expression changed slightly. He hurriedly activated the 3,000 ways of heaven and controlled the power of his divine thought to resolve all the lightning arcs. After resolving these lightning arcs, Lin Yi suddenly found that there was a warm current in his body, which was improving his meridians. Hiss! It really works. But the third-level lightning is still too weak. Touching his nose, Lin Yi was mentally prepared. Several more lightning arcs struck, making his body tremble violently. Other than that, there was no effect. Looking around, Lin Yi saw that there were a lot of people in the third lightning space. Lin Yi could feel the aura of a student every 500 meters. Most of the people were at the middle stage of the Saint Realm, and a few had reached the late stage of the Saint Realm. They were also tempering themselves in this space. But what surprised Lin Yi was that there were not many people refining the thunder element pill on this level. Could it be that the students in the academy were so rich that they didn't need to refine the thunder element pill? Surprised, Lin Yi came to the fourth-level space. The strength of the fourth-level lightning was much stronger than that of the third level. When it struck Lin Yi, it was as if he had been electrocuted. His whole body was numb, and the strong electric arcs drilled directly into Lin Ye's meridians. Lin Yi was so frightened that he hurriedly called out the supreme sacred armor. Only then did the power of the lightning dissipate. He calmed down and refined the lightning in his body. In the fifth-level space, the lightning had turned purple. Every bolt of lightning was like a trident, incomparably sharp. Even though Lin Yi had the protection of the supreme sacred armor, he couldn't resist when he came into contact with the lightning. He was directly sent flying. The 9 cauldrons appeared and the light on them surged. Immediately, the surrounding lightning was weakened by a lot. Lin Yi finally caught his breath. Chapter 5:12. Lin Ye's figure appeared on the light screen. Hiss! This kid is merely a 9th tribulation half-true saint. How can he withstand the lightning in the 5th space? Terrifying! The elders widened their eyes and opened their mouths. Their faces were filled with shock. Even late-stage Saint Realm experts would find it hard to withstand the lightning in the 5th space. In the outer hall, only the experts on the transforming saint list could cultivate in the 5th space. As for the 6th space, it was even rarer. Only the top 10 and top 20 disciples on the transforming saint list could withstand it. Look, he actually stabilized. Too terrifying! A mere 9th tribulation half-true saint actually possesses such a physique. His talent is too strong. Someone, quickly report this matter to the Grand Elder. This kid's physique tempering talent is absolutely terrifying. We must report this matter. Elder Hong, should we strengthen the lightning in the 5th space? No need, let's wait and see. I believe that he will definitely go to the 6th space to check it out. Inside the 5th space, as the 9 divine cauldrons appeared, all the lightning energy was absorbed by the divine cauldrons and turned into the purest holy energy that poured into Lin Ye's body. The holy energy was like the most nourishing nourishment as it strengthened Lin Ye's physique. Suddenly, Lin Yi gained many new comprehensions. Immediately, his comprehension of thunder deepened. After a while, Lin Yi clenched his fists and felt a little surprised. In just a short while, his physique had become stronger. Let's test the speed of refining the lightning essence pill. However, Lin Ye's purpose in coming here wasn't to cultivate, but to earn points. With a thought, Lin Yi waved his hands and gathered all the thunderbolts. Purple electric arcs flashed and jumped in front of Lin Yi. Narrowing his eyes, Lin Ye's energy erupted from his body and wrapped around the lightning. He hammered it madly and refined the essence energy within. Boom, boom, boom. After a while, the lightning completely turned into essence energy and flickered with a faint light. Lin Yi extended his hand and once again attracted the lightning absorbed by the divine cauldron. For a moment, the entire fifth space was engulfed in violent thunderbolt. Under the defense of the 9 divine cauldrons, the lightning was unable to cause any harm to Lin Yi. He crazily absorbed the lightning and refined them, turning them into the purest Saint Qi and pouring them into Lin Ye's body. As for Lin Yi, he was refining the lightning and refining the essence of the lightning into a pill. Lin Yi and the 9 divine cauldrons absorbed the lightning at the same time. Soon, all the lightning in the fifth space converged toward them. In the space, the other students who were cultivating suddenly felt that something was wrong and quickly stopped cultivating. What's the situation? Why do I feel that the lightning has suddenly weakened a lot? Many of the students were perplexed as they looked around. They had never encountered such a situation before, so they looked up in surprise. As time passed, the lightning energy in the space became weaker and weaker. Phew! Wait a minute, what a powerful lightning fluctuation! Let's go and take a look. All of a sudden, the students sensed the violent lightning energy. Their hearts were filled with shock as they rushed towards the lightning energy. Along the way, the students met one another and couldn't help but talk about strange things. Everyone was very curious. However, when they arrived at the place where the lightning energy was the most violent, they were all stunned. In front of them, a figure was bathing in the sea of lightning and refining the lightning. The lightning here was extremely powerful and ferocious. It was like an angry dragon that kept falling. The surging Saint Qi made everyone take a few steps back. However, they were more shocked by the person who was absorbing and refining the lightning energy. Hiss! Who is this guy? How can he attract the lightning energy in other places? For so many years, the lightning energy in the space has been evenly distributed. No one has ever been able to do this. Who is this person who is cultivating? Is he an expert in the top 10 of the Saint Transformation list? The students were shocked and swallowed a mouthful of saliva. They immediately turned their gazes to the center of the sea of lightning. After understanding the reason for the weakening of the lightning, none of the students chose to leave. Instead, they silently stood guard at the side. They wanted to see clearly which expert was able to do this. After an hour, the lightning became even more ferocious. It was so dense that it turned into liquid. After 2 hours, the violent lightning became restless again. Boom! 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 Suddenly, a loud and clear sound was heard. The lightning and thunder began to flicker with light. The dazzling and bright light caused the spectators to close their eyes. In the next moment, the lightning slowly disappeared. 9 divine cauldrons appeared with lightning jumping on them. A figure holding a round pill gradually appeared in front of the crowd. However, the figure was surrounded by arcs of light, making it difficult for the spectators to see clearly. That's a supreme-grade Thunder Origin pill. Oh my god, a Thunder Origin pill of this grade is worth 10,000 points. In the outer court, only senior brothers Yin Lin and Zi Yin can refine a supreme-grade Thunder Origin pill. Senior brother Zi Yin is still cultivating in seclusion. Could it be that senior brother Lin Yin is here today? Amidst the exclamations, the spectators' gazes instantly became heated as they looked at the figure. However, some people became suspicious and muttered, "That's not right. Senior brother Lin Yin and the rest usually cultivate in the 6th space. Why would they be here?" In an instant, Dozens of students stared closely at the figure. Buzz. The arcs of light gradually dissipated, and the figure appeared in front of the crowd. However, when they saw the figure's face, they were stunned on the spot. Their faces were filled with shock. They did not recognize the person in front of them. Who is this guy? I've never seen such an unfamiliar face before. Is he in the top 100 of the Saint Transformation list? Frowning slightly, the numerous students were stunned as they revealed doubtful expressions. Lin Yi, who had just successfully refined the Thunder Origin pill, was shocked when he suddenly saw so many people. He could not help but carefully size up the crowd. Wait, this guy seems to be this year's #1 new student. His name is Lin Yi. Lin Yi? You're saying that he's the Lin Yi who led the new students to defeat the older students? Isn't this guy too terrifying? He just entered Cebu Gakuen, but he's already on par with senior brothers Yin Lin and Zi Yin? Suddenly, someone recognized Lin Yi's identity. When the crowd heard this, they were all shocked. These few days, Lin Yi was in the limelight in the outer court. Almost everyone was talking about Lin Yi. Originally, the older students were still a little doubtful and did not recognize Lin Yi's strength. Chapter 513. Cough cough. I'll make a move first. Lin Yi's heart skipped a beat when he felt everyone's gaze on him. He put away the lightning essence pill and disappeared in a flash. Hey! Don't go. Can you sell that supreme grade Thunder Essence pill to us directly? I'm willing to buy it for 20,000 points. Many senior students' faces changed, and they tried to stop Lin Yi. However, Lin Yi's comprehension of the power of thunder was getting stronger and stronger. Furthermore, he was currently in the thunder space, so his speed was extremely fast. Even if those older students were all experts on the Saint Transformation Board, they were still unable to catch up to Lin Yi. Why is he running? Don't run. We're willing to buy the Lightning Essence pill with 30,000 points. After chasing for a long time, they stopped when Lin Yi entered the sixth space. Many senior students looked at each other helplessly. Why is this guy running? We're not robbing him of his points. Phew, are this year's new disciples really so terrifying? Yeah, with our strength, we can't enter the sixth space to cultivate. He's just a ninth tribulation half-true saint, but he can enter. He's too strong. It seems like he didn't defeat Zhu Mingyong by luck. He's really strong. In my opinion, he's still hiding his strength. Even Zhu Mingyong can't cultivate in the sixth space. After discussing Lin Yi for a while, the senior students left in silence. However, the pressure in their hearts suddenly increased. Sixth space. Seeing that the others didn't chase after him, Lin Yi heaved a sigh of relief. He didn't want to waste too much time. Moreover, the lightning in the fifth space was weakened by him, and it couldn't support him anymore. He had to go to the sixth space. Rumble! The violent purple-gold thunderbolts were like angry dragons that gathered above Lin Yi's head. At the same time, the surrounding lightning crackled and emitted electric arc. Sensing this, Lin Yi could not help but reveal a shocked expression as he activated the 9 divine cauldrons with all his might. The divine cauldron vibrated and immediately absorbed some of the lightning energy in the space. Rumble! However, the lightning in the sixth space was much more ferocious than the fifth space. Even with the 9 divine cauldrons, lightning still struck Lin Yi's supreme holy armor from time to time. That violent power was like a giant hammer hammering down on Lin Yi's body. The biting cold electric light stimulated every inch of his skin. But Lin Yi felt refreshed. He hurriedly closed his eyes and began to refine the Thunder Essence pill. At the same time, the 9 divine cauldrons continued to spin, refining the lightning and turning it into pure saint energy. Boom boom boom. Boom boom boom. Lightning continued to fall. Lin Yi absorbed the power of the lightning, and his physique gradually became stronger. The speed of refining the Thunder Essence pill had increased by a lot. As time passed, Lin Ye's body grew increasingly powerful. As if he had sensed this, the power contained within those thunderbolts also grew increasingly ferocious. After an hour, Lin Yi successfully refined the second Thunder Essence pill. However, the power of those lightning bolts was so powerful that they caused his body to gradually become numb and painful. Although his physique was constantly strengthening, the speed was not as fast as the lightning. After another hour, Lin Yi refined 2 Thunder Essence pills in one go. Bang! The violent lightning had already turned into 3 different colors: purple, gold, and blue. It split the 9 divine cauldrons apart and created a gap. In the next moment, the 3-colored lightning struck Lin Yi. Puff! Lin Ye's body shook and he spat out a mouthful of blood. He felt as if his entire body was being torn apart by the lightning. Rumble! Looking up, Lin Yi could not help but suck in a breath of cold air. At this moment, the 6th space was already filled with tricolored thunderbolts. The terrifying thunderclouds gave people a strong sense of oppression. The elders who had been observing Lin Yi through the light screen were shocked. They could not believe their eyes. It's a miracle! The 3-colored lightning of the 6th space is difficult to resist even for a peak sage. He is not seriously injured. Elder Hong, it seems that this little guy can't hold on any longer. When should we strike? No need. I feel that this little guy still has some tricks up his sleeve. Let's wait and see. In the 6th space. Bang bang bang. The 3-colored lightning was like a raging dragon. It roared and attacked Lin Yi. Even with the protection of the 9 divine cauldrons, the lightning still exploded with a strong force and created a gap. In the next moment, the remaining lightning struck Lin Ye's body, sending him flying backwards. His meridians were burning with pain. Hiss! The lightning here is so strong. Sucking in a breath of cold air, Lin Yi gave a light cry and the divine dragon 9 transformations erupted. Roar! A dragon's roar sounded out. Lin Ye's body immediately rose with a strong dragon's might, as if he was a human-shaped dragon. Crackle! Bam! Lightning continued to fall. However, under the effect of the Annihilation Divine Dragon transformation, those lightning bolts were no longer able to harm Lin Yi. Even the numb feeling had disappeared. Taking a deep breath, Lin Yi was just about to continue refining the Thunder Origin pill when a strange feeling suddenly arose in his heart. Plop! Plop! Lin Ye's heart was beating powerfully. His entire body was emitting a faint light. What's going on? Sensing this, Lin Yi immediately panicked. After sizing up his body and not noticing anything unusual, he suddenly raised his head and looked around. Buzz! A special ray of light gradually gathered and appeared in front of Lin Yi, gradually forming an arc of light. Seeing this scene, Lin Yi could not help but be stunned, but his entire body started to heat up, his heartbeat quickened, and his breathing quickened, as if there was something behind the arc of light that was luring him. What is going on? Could it be that this is the entrance to the 7th level? But the elders once said that we cannot enter the 7th level of space. No. There is definitely something related to me inside. I have to go in. With a cold look in his eyes, Lin Yi immediately made up his mind. With a wave of his hands, the 9 divine cauldrons gathered together, and under Lin Ye's control, they suddenly crashed into the arc of light. In the next moment, Lin Yi rushed forward and directly entered the arc of light. Boom! Boom! As soon as he rushed into the arc of light, Lin Yi felt as if his entire body was wrapped in countless bolts of lightning. Strong electric currents continuously flowed through his meridians, causing his entire body to tremble. Swoosh! Almost at the moment when Lin Ye's figure disappeared into the arc of light, several elders broke through space and suddenly appeared in the 6th level of space. No. However, as soon as they arrived, the arc of light dissipated, and Lin Ye's figure completely disappeared. Hiss! How is this possible? How did that guy enter the 7th level of space? Chapter 514. Buzz. As soon as he entered the seventh layer space, the lightning in Lin Ye's body suddenly became fierce and violent, wreaking havoc in Lin Ye's meridians. Intense electric currents surged, stimulating Lin Ye's meridians. Even though Lin Ye's physique was extremely strong, he could not help but howl in pain. Boom, boom, boom. Almost in an instant, the Divine Dragon 9 transformations was activated. From the first transformation to the Annihilation Divine Dragon transformation, it evolved on its own. In this way, the power contained within the lightning was suddenly absorbed by the Divine Dragon 9 transformations. As the violent energy was absorbed, Lin Yi immediately let out a long sigh of relief, feeling much better. When he raised his head to take a look of shock appeared on his face as he stood there in a daze. In front of Lin Yi, the lightning actually had several different colors. The 7 colors were extremely dazzling. However, the power contained within them caused one's heart to tremble. What shocked Lin Yi even more was that the rainbow-colored lightning gathered in the air and condensed into the shape of a huge dragon. The enormous dragon was several hundred feet long. It had a towering horn on its head and lightning crackled all over its body. Hiss! Why do I feel that this dragon looks so familiar? Frowning slightly, the shock in Lin Ye's heart gradually dissipated, and a sense of familiarity arose spontaneously. At the same time, the huge dragon seemed to have come to life. Its head was slightly tilted outwards, and its eyes, which were completely formed by lightning, flickered with a faint light as it stared fixedly at Lin Yi. Lin Yi was startled by the dragon's actions. He couldn't help but stagger back a few steps, swallowing a mouthful of saliva. This giant dragon was several hundred feet long. If it really had a life of its own, it would have surpassed the realm of the great sage. Boom, boom, boom. Being stared at by the huge dragon, Lin Ye's meridians burned as the Divine Dragon 9 transformations circulated on their own. Violent power and the power of the sacred dragon erupted at the same time, causing Lin Ye's aura to soar. Buzz. It was as if there was a pull between the auras. Following the changes in the Divine Dragon 9 transformations, the lightning on the huge dragon's body seemed to have come to life, and the frequency of its movements became faster and faster. Divine Dragon 9 transformations. No, could it be that this Divine Dragon is the Divine Dragon that gave me the cultivation technique in the underground palace? Lin Yi suddenly thought of the mystical dragon in the underground palace. At this moment, he finally understood why he felt a sense of familiarity. Hiss! I never thought that there would be news of the Divine Dragon 9 transformations here. Realizing this, Lin Ye's entire body relaxed. This lightning dragon was related to the Divine Dragon 9 transformations, so it would definitely not harm him. On the contrary, it would bring him a great opportunity, so he naturally would not be nervous anymore. Roar! Suddenly, the cry of a dragon could be heard as the thunderous dragon sprang forward with its body a few hundred zhang long in Lin Ye's direction. Seeing such an impactful scene, Lin Yi could not help but exclaim and close his eyes. With a twist of his body, Lin Yi was shocked to discover that his body was actually bound by an invisible force. Raising his head, he saw that the roaring dragon was flickering with lightning. It was gradually enlarging and fiercely smashing into his body. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Boom. The Divine Dragon 9 transformations circulated, and in the next moment, countless bolts of lightning suddenly poured into Lin Ye's body, being absorbed by his skin, physique, and meridians. Even his blood had absorbed a lot of the power of lightning. Crackle! Crackle! In a split second, Lin Yi was like a man made of lightning, his entire body flickering with lightning. The power of the Divine Dragon 9 transformations also gradually became perfect. The power of thunder continued to pour into Lin Ye's body as a violent energy crazily swam through his body, wreaking havoc everywhere. Lin Yi clenched his teeth and persevered, allowing the lightning to wander about, only speeding up the circulation of the divine Dragon 9 transformations. A moment later, even though Lin Ye's mind could still hold on, his body could not take it anymore. His eyes went black and he fainted. Although his body was unconscious, the power of thunder was still crazily tempering his meridians and nurturing his physique. The divine Dragon 9 transformations was like a silkworm shedding its skin, absorbing the power of thunder to its heart's content. A thunderous dragon slowly condensed in Lin Ye's sea of consciousness. While Lin Yi was cultivating, a few elders were anxiously waiting in the sixth space. The seventh space was especially special. Even if the palace master personally came, she would not be able to enter, much less pry into the existence inside. Only an elder from hundreds of years ago was able to enter the seventh space. After that, he left an order that no one was allowed to approach the seventh space. But they did not expect that this time, the seventh space would appear on its own while Lin Yi was cultivating. Buzz. Space continued to shatter as more than 10 figures appeared. They were the elders of the various regions. Murong Ning and Tianyong were among them. What's going on? Someone entered the seventh space again? Murong Ning looked surprised. What's going on with this year's competition? Forget about the two divine sense saints. The seventh level of the heavenly lightning realm is something even heavenly saints cannot enter. How did a student enter? We're not sure. The heavenly lightning realm elders sighed and said, initially, we just wanted to see how long he could endure in the sixth space. Who would have thought that the entrance would suddenly appear and pull him in? Did you report this to the Grand Elder? Did Elder Bai and the others come? The corners of Murong Ning and the others' mouths twitched. They already went. Sigh, this new student is merely a ninth tribulation half-true saint. How did he cause such a big commotion? Wait a minute? Ninth tribulation half-true saint realm new student? Murong Ning's eyebrows rose when he heard these words. He stared fixedly at the heavenly lightning realm elders. The other elders turned to look at Murong Ning and asked suspiciously, Elder Murong, do you know that new student? Take a look, is it him? As he spoke, Murong Ning waved his right hand and Lin Ye's face quietly appeared in the air. Yes, it's him. Seeing Lin Yi, the heavenly lightning realm elders' faces changed as they exclaimed, Elder Murong, could it be this little guy? The elders swallowed a mouthful of saliva as they thought of a possibility. Tianyong, Murong Ning, and the other elders who had seen Lin Ye's strength were equally shocked. Phew. This kid's talent is extremely high and rarely seen in 10,000 years. We must report this to the Venerable Lord. But the Venerable Lord just entered death seclusion a year ago. Will this disturb him? Someone hesitated. No. This kind of talent must be reported to the Venerable Lord. His future training will be decided by the Venerable Lord. All right, when Chen Yu and the others return, we will go to the inner courtyard to meet the Venerable Lord. No need. Just as everyone finished their discussion, a majestic voice entered everyone's ears like a gust of wind. The Venerable Lord has ordered that no one is to interfere with his choice and his cultivation path. Moreover, none of you are allowed to give him any special help. All of you can leave. This is his opportunity and there is no danger. Murong Ning, Tianyong, and the other elders looked at each other with shock written all over their faces. Chapter 5:15. Rumble! Rumble! The muffled sound of thunder continued to ring, but it gradually weakened. The seventh space was originally filled with rainbow-colored thunderbolts and a giant dragon. However, there was nothing there now. It was empty. Only Lin Ye's body was still flickering with lightning. Roar! Suddenly, a loud dragon roar sounded, and the divine Dragon 9 transformations circulated on its own. Lin Ye's body transformed into a huge dragon shadow, releasing lightning. Huff, huff, huff. Boom! Lin Ye's pores contracted, and every time he breathed, there was a thunderous sound, shocking people. The power contained in it was like a clap of thunder. It was obvious that Lin Ye's physique had improved again after this round of cultivation. After a while, the aura in Lin Ye's body gradually dissipated, and his eyes slowly opened. 2 streaks of lightning shot out from his eyes. Boom! He suddenly punched out, and a dragon roar sounded. The 7-colored lightning suddenly exploded, and the space in front of him was blasted apart. Hiss! What a strong power! Seeing this scene, Lin Yi could not help but exclaim. Clenching his fists, he felt the power in his body and became excited. After this sudden cultivation, Lin Ye's cultivation had completely stabilized at the peak of the 9th tribulation half-true saint realm, and he could step into the saint realm at any time. The Annihilation Divine Dragon transformation had improved by a lot. Lin Yi was curious about the cultivation progress of the Divine Dragon 9 transformations. In the beginning, Lin Yi thought that after the Annihilation Divine Dragon transformation was completed, it would be an invincible Divine Dragon transformation. He did not expect that the Annihilation Divine Dragon transformation could be improved again. Huff! This time, it was the power of lightning that improved the Annihilation Divine Dragon transformation. I wonder if the other elemental powers can improve the power of the Annihilation Divine Dragon transformation again. After feeling the changes in his body, Lin Yi looked around and suddenly revealed a shocked expression. Hiss! I actually absorbed all the thunderbolts during my cultivation this time? The corner of Lin Ye's mouth twitched, and his face was filled with disbelief. He had sensed that even the great sage would find it difficult to withstand the lightning. Now that he had finished cultivating, the lightning in the 7th space had all disappeared, which surprised him. Something's wrong. Those lightning bolts didn't completely dissipate. They just lost their core energy and turned into liquid. Suddenly, Lin Yi felt that the aura in the space was much thicker than before. I've got it. The lightning aura here is so dense. The speed of refining the Thunder Essence pill will definitely be faster. The corners of Lin Ye's mouth curled up slightly, and he no longer hesitated. With a flip of his hands, he began to refine the Thunder Essence pill. Boom, boom, boom. Following Lin Ye's circulation, the previously still quiet space immediately caused a huge fluctuation. Countless lightning bolts converged in Lin Ye's direction. After the Nirvana Divine Dragon transformation improved, Lin Ye's physique also strengthened. His immunity to lightning increased. This way, his speed of absorbing lightning and refining the Thunder Essence pill suddenly accelerated. In less than an incense's time, a Thunder Essence pill was successfully condensed. Compared to before, the speed was who knows how many times faster. 2 hours later, 24 Thunder Essence pills were refined. They were all superior-grade Thunder Essence pills. The speed of refining Thunder Essence pills in the 7th space is indeed fast. Lin Yi was pleasantly surprised. A superior-grade Thunder Essence pill could be exchanged for 10,000 points. To be able to refine 24 superior-grade Thunder Essence pills in 2 hours, there were 12 hours in a day. In other words, Lin Yi could refine 288 pills in a day, which was 288 million points. Hiss! No wonder they said that the Heavenly Thunder Realm is the most profitable place. It's indeed amazing. If I run out of points one day, I'll come here to refine Thunder Essence pills. One day is 288 million points, too profitable. Lin Yi was overjoyed. He already made up his mind to let others come to the Heavenly Thunder Realm in the future to earn more points. However, Lin Yi forgot that ordinary people could only refine the power of lightning in the first 5 spaces. It would take at least 2 hours to refine Thunder Essence pills, and they might not even be able to refine superior-grade Thunder Essence pills. Although the benefits were great, it could not reach Lin Ye's terrifying realm. After the ecstasy, the already poor Lin Yi started refining Thunder Essence pills wholeheartedly. Violent lightning gathered crazily. The entire 7th space was filled with lightning once again. 2 hours, 4 hours. A day's time passed very quickly. A full 24 hours, 288 Thunder Essence pills were successfully refined. Adding the ones that Lin Yi refined previously, it happened to be 290 pills. Converted to points, it was as much as 2.9 million. With so many points, it was enough to cover Lin Yi and the others' expenses for a month. It could even be provided to the Sky Rapier sect. After stretching comfortably, Lin Yi put away the Thunder Essence pills, stood up, and looked around. He saw that the Lightning Dragon had completely dissipated. Moreover, after the upgrade of the Nirvana Divine Dragon transformation, the power of lightning could no longer cause any harm to Lin Yi. Not only that, the lightning body refining in the Heavenly Thunder Realm was also no longer effective on Lin Yi. Therefore, the attraction of the Heavenly Thunder Realm to Lin Yi had completely disappeared. After putting away the Thunder Essence pills, Lin Yi happily exited the seventh space. Buzz. With a flash of light, Lin Yi's body had already returned to the sixth space. Rumble. Almost at the same time that Lin Yi appeared, dozens of tricolored lightning fell at the same time, striking towards Lin Yi's head. Not good! Watch out! Cries of alarm sounded one after another. Hearing these voices, Lin Yi couldn't help but feel surprised. When he looked up, he was stunned. He even forgot about the lightning above his head. He saw dozens of figures floating in the distance, looking at him with a horrified expression. Elder Murong is also here? But why does he look at me with a strange gaze? Rubbing his nose, Lin Yi was puzzled. Dozens of lightning bolts fell on his head. Rumble! The violent lightning exploded, and when it landed on Lin Yi's body, it turned into a wisp of green smoke and dissipated. Jie? How could this be? Hiss! Seeing this scene, many elders widened their eyes as they looked at Lin Yi in shock. They did not dare to believe that Lin Yi actually did not suffer any injuries under the attack of the Berserk Thunder. One had to know that even the great sage couldn't withstand the lightning of the sixth space. Lin Yi was just a ninth tribulation half-true saint, but he was unharmed. It was amazing. Are you all dumbfounded? Seeing the shocked expression on the elders' faces, Lin Yi frowned. He couldn't understand why they were looking at him like that. Looking around, Lin Yi didn't find anything strange. He blinked his eyes and asked in surprise, Elder Murong, why are you all guarding here? Gulp. Swallowing a mouthful of saliva, the elders couldn't help but laugh bitterly. They finally understood why Lin Yi was valued by the Reverend as soon as he entered the academy. Phew, isn't it because we were waiting for you? Murong Ning reacted quickly and said with a bitter smile, do you know that ever since the seventh space was established, only one person in the entire Cebu Gakuen can enter? Chapter 5:16. Only one person can go in? Lin Yi raised an eyebrow and said softly, that can't be right? The lightning inside isn't very strong. With your strength, you should be able to enter. Although the lightning in the seventh level was strong, it was not much stronger than the lightning in the sixth level. If these elders could ignore the lightning in the sixth level, there was no reason for them not to be able to enter. Hee, we have to be able to enter first. Elder Murong sighed. Back then, more than 100 of us tried to enter the seventh level together. We only heard a dragon's roar and fainted. Some of the weaker elders even injured their meridians and did not make any progress in 50 years. When they heard this, many elders let out a long sigh. The gazes with which they looked at Lin Yi became increasingly strange. So scary? Lin Yi's mouth twitched as he thought of the lightning dragon. Indeed, although the lightning dragon did not cause him any harm, it gave him a lot of pressure. If the lightning dragon's power exploded, Lin Yi was not confident that he could withstand it. Alright. Murong Ning suddenly waved his hand and said, you little guy, get lost. Because of you, so many of us are guarding here and we can't do anything. Since you're out, get lost. Cough, cough. Raising an eyebrow, Lin Yi glanced at Murong Ning strangely, his eyes filled with curiosity. Normally, when he showed such talent, shouldn't these elders be very friendly to him? Why did Murong Ning and the rest not care about him? What are you coughing about? Murong Ning glared at Lin Yi and said snappily, You little brat, you really don't let people have peace of mind. Not only did you cause a riot in the heart refining abyss, you also used up so much lightning in the sky thunder realm. Leave quickly, don't waste our time. Twitching his mouth, Lin Yi said helplessly, Are the elders in charge of the sky thunder realm all here? That's right. The elder who had previously explained the heavenly thunder realm to Lin Yi said, What's the matter? Is there anything else you need from us? Lin Yi grinned and said, Well, can you help me exchange my points first? You're all here. If I leave later, no one will help me exchange points. Hearing this, the elders' expressions changed as they looked at Lin Yi. You bastard, what time is it now? You're actually still concerned about exchanging points? The heavenly thunder realm is almost unable to operate because of you. How many thunder essence pills do you want? The elder asked helplessly. Not much. Lin Yi grinned and said, Only 290 thunder yuan dan. 290 thunder essence pills. Oh, I'll change it for you right away. An elder raised his hand and was about to give Lin Yi points when he realized something was wrong. He frowned and stared at Lin Yi. Wait a minute, how many thunder yuan pills do you want? 290 pills. Lin Yi reached his hand out. In an instant, thunder yuan dan flickering with lightning arcs appeared and floated beside Lin Yi. Crackle! Crackle! Lightning arcs flickered, releasing a berserk aura. Hiss! The elders were shocked. The corners of their mouths twitched nonstop. The way they looked at Lin Yi was like they were looking at a ghost. How long had it been? Merely a day's time. Even people in the Great Sage realm could only refine 20 thunder yuan dan at most. Lin Yi, on the other hand, managed to refine 290 pills, which was more than 10 times that of others. This kind of gap was seriously too great. Gulp! Swallowing a mouthful of saliva, the elder took back the thunder yuan dan, sensed it carefully, and said in a deep voice, 290 superior grade thunder yuan dan, worth 2.9 million points. What? Supreme grade thunder yuan dan? Hearing that, the rest of the elders nearly fainted. The successive surprises were like tidewater, constantly impacting their nerve. This little guy. The corners of his mouth twitched a little. That elder transferred 2.9 million points to Lin Yi in one breath and said crossly, Hurry up and leave. Heavenly Thunder Realm here still needs to be repaired. Alright elders, you all get busy. With a huge amount of points in hand, Lin Yi could not be bothered to stay here either. He immediately waved his hand and left. After going out, you can go to the heart refining abyss to take a look when you have time. An elder is going to explain the application of divine sense power today. Seeing that Lin Yi was about to leave, Murong Ning suddenly reminded him. Hearing that, a warm current flowed across Lin Ye's heart. No matter what, Murong Ning was still very good to him. He bowed once more and left. Looking at Lin Ye's departing back view, Murong Ning and the rest of the elders felt their livers ache very much. This brat really messed up the entire heavenly thunder realm. This is really, a talented little guy will always make things interesting. A few of the elders showed a helpless look, but they were full of hope for Lin Yi. Cebu Gakuin's future all depended on the new students. Back in the courtyard, Sun Wuyu was still cultivating. Silent Soul was sitting at the table, calculating something. Young master, you're finally back. Seeing Lin Yi, Silent Soul was so excited that he directly pounced over. After the hard work of Shangguan Yunxi, Mui, and Dao Feiyang, the Heavenly Sword Sex exchange system was more or less established. Although the holy grade items that could be exchanged were not very powerful, there were still quite a few. It caused many students to exclaim, and each of them worked hard to earn points. After listening to Silent Soul's report, Lin Yi nodded slightly, completely relieved of the heavenly sword sect in his heart. He had to admit that Shangguan Yunqi and the others' abilities were really good. A force of thousands of people was actually managed in a few days by them in an orderly manner. However, they had already spent most of their points. After pondering for a moment, Lin Yi decided not to treat Shangguan Yunqi and the others unfairly. He gave Silent Soul 1,000,000 points to operate the Heavenly Sword sect. Right, where did Brother Shangguan and the others go? In the past few days, Shangguan Yunqi and the others had practically treated this place as the Heavenly Sword sect's base camp. Therefore, seeing that they were not here, Lin Yi was quite curious. I heard that there was an elder's lecture in the Heart Refining Abyss today. Brother Shangguan and the others all went. Silent Soul replied. They went too? Touching his nose, Lin Yi said in a deep voice, Silent Soul, look after the house. I'll also go to the Heart Refining Abyss. Also, glancing at Sun Wuyu who was still cultivating, Lin Yi waved his hand and threw out many holy-grade pills. You and Sun Wuyu, don't neglect your personal matters and delay your cultivation. Although the Heavenly Sword sect is important, your strength and ability to protect yourself in the future is what I'm most worried about. Nodding slightly, Lin Yi turned around and left the courtyard under Silent Soul's touched gaze, rushing towards the Heart Refining Abyss. Chapter 5:17. It was past noon, and the Heart Refining Abyss's passage opened. From time to time, there would be figures rushing into the Heart Refining Abyss. As soon as he stepped into the Heart Refining Abyss, Lin Ye's body suddenly stiffened. An invisible force of divine sense pierced into Lin Ye's mind like a needle. Buzz! With a slight thought, the invisible force of divine sense was suddenly shattered. Lin Yi opened his eyes and woke up. This time, the divine sense attacks in the Heart Refining Abyss were not even 1/5 of the ones during the assessment. This made Lin Yi extremely surprised. However, although the divine sense attacks were weaker, the attacks were more continuous than before, continuously landing on Lin Ye's body. With a light exhale, the 3,000 heavenly daos revolved. Divine sense immediately appeared around Lin Ye's body, blocking the divine sense attack. The divine sense attacks were like giant hammers, constantly hammering Lin Ye's divine sense. After walking for a while, Lin Yi suddenly noticed that not far away, there were thousands of people sitting cross-legged. Each of them was focused and very serious. Shangguan Yunqi, Qin Yue, and the others were also among them. Looking up, at the front of the crowd, there was a middle-aged man sitting. His face was gentle, like a spring breeze. That's the teacher teaching? Raising his eyebrows, Lin Yi was about to go forward when he suddenly noticed that something was happening among the people listening to the lecture. He saw Shangguan Yunqi, Qin Yue, and some seniors standing up, as if they were arguing about something. Seeing this scene, Lin Ye's eyes turned cold, and his heart was piercingly cold. He immediately rushed over. How dare you bully us freshmen? It was as if he was tired of living and wanted to hang himself. Elder, what you said earlier, why don't we test it out with these freshmen? That's right. I heard that the freshmen this year are all heaven-defying talents. We really want to see it for ourselves. A few seniors revealed disdainful smiles as they glanced at Shangguan Yunqi and the others. They had already inquired about the news and knew that Lin Yi did not appear. Therefore, they dared to be so arrogant. The elder's expression didn't change. He glanced at Shangguan Yunqi and the others but didn't say anything. As an elder, there was no need for him to get involved in the grudges and disputes between students. If there was no competition, how could he stimulate the students to increase their strength? You? Shangguan Yunqi, Mui, and the others were stunned. They looked at the elder in confusion. When they realized that the elder had stopped talking, their mouths couldn't help but twitch. They already understood that the elder didn't care anymore. Rolling their eyes, Shangguan Yunqi and the others looked at the senior students. They saw that the older students were also looking at them in surprise. It was very obvious that the ones who started the dispute this time were only a few seniors, and not many people participated. Shangguan Yunqi heaved a sigh of relief when he realized this. He immediately stood up and coldly asked, "How do we spar?" "Of course, it's an actual combat practice." The few old women laughed out loud. "Elder, as you said just now, the spiritual sense attack cannot be restricted to form, nor can it be too complicated. Only by releasing the power as a whole can it explode with great power. Junior brothers, let's practice now. Ha ha ha. Since it's a spar, then there must be a prize." After interacting with Lin Yi for a long time, Shangguan Yunqi didn't want to do anything that didn't benefit him. The corners of his mouth curled up as he asked, "If you win, then we won't compete with you for the cultivation seat in the heart refining abyss today." After hesitating for a moment, the few seniors sneered. They didn't believe that Shangguan Yunqi and the others could win. "Elder, please bear witness." After the agreement was made, the few seniors bowed to the elder together. "Well, since both of you have decided, this old man will bear witness for you." The elder smiled slightly and stopped teaching. He became the witness for Shangguan Yunqi and the others. For a time, everyone in the field stared at Shangguan Yunqi and the others. The freshmen cheered for Shangguan Yunqi and the others. Best of 5. The corners of the senior's mouth curled up. A figure walked out and pointed at Mui. "You, come out, I want to spar with you. You're courting death." Mui's complexion turned cold. Just as he stood up, he didn't even have time to launch a divine sense attack. Suddenly, his body trembled, and he felt as if a giant boulder had smashed into his head. There was a buzzing sound, and it was extremely uncomfortable. With a loud shout, Mui's entire body crashed to the ground. Shangguan Yunqi and the others' faces changed dramatically. They quickly helped Mui up, but he had already fainted. Despicable! Shameless! Seeing this scene, the pupils of the freshmen shrank and they all cursed out loud. Just now, when Mui got up, the person launched a strong divine sense attack. In addition, they were in the heart-refining abyss and had to withstand the divine sense attack. Mui couldn't withstand it and fainted. Hey, when I challenged him, the spar had already begun. He couldn't withstand it and now you're blaming me? The person sneered and was particularly shameless. For a time, even some of the seniors frowned, their hearts filled with disdain. Enough. Shangguan Yunqi was furious. He immediately stood up and glared at the 5 seniors. In front of their chests there was a maple leaf symbol. "You're members of the Maple Forest?" Shangguan Yunqi growled. "Since you want to fight, our Sky Rapier sect will never back down." The Maple Forest was one of the strongest forces in the outer court. It was as famous as the Cloud Mountain. "You come out." Shangguan Yunqi clenched his fists and glared at the leader of the 5. "Hey, our brother Xiaowu is not someone that anyone can challenge." However, before that person could take a step forward, another figure walked out. "I'm enough to deal with you." The person called Brother Xiaowu carefully looked at Shangguan Yunqi and suddenly patted his shoulder. He didn't care about Shangguan Yunqi at all. Damn it! Seeing this, the freshmen were furious. "Brother Shangguan, you must defeat them. Slap their faces." "Yeah, they're really too despicable." Shangguan Yunqi's eyes were burning with anger as he glared at that person. Let's do it." That person flipped his hands. In an instant, a violent divine sense like a giant sword suddenly pierced towards Shangguan Yunqi. Buzz! Shangguan Yunqi closed his eyes. The divine sense in his body was like an erupting volcano, crazily gushing out. Rumble! The violent divine sense swept out and in an instant, the giant sword formed by that person's divine sense shattered. Crack! Crack! Poof! In the crisp sound, that person felt a sharp pain in his head. It was as if there were countless sharp thorns piercing his head. He couldn't help but spit out a mouthful of blood and staggered back. Damn it! Brother Xiaowu's face changed slightly and he glared at Shangguan Yunqi. Trash! Shangguan Yunqi sneered and said, You want to bully us freshmen? You're still far from it. Bastard! Brother Xiaowu gritted his teeth and suddenly pointed at Qingyue. Miss, I want to challenge you. Huh! Chapter 5:18. Many of the new students looked at Brother Xiaowu with strange gazes. They were clear that although Qingyue was very quiet, her strength was even more terrifying than Shangguan Yunqi's. The only one who could firmly suppress her was Lin Yi alone. Unfortunately, Qingyue would not make a move normally, leaving everything to Shangguan Yunqi and the rest to resolve. At this moment, Brother Xiaowu took the initiative to provoke Qingyue, making many of the new students heave a sigh of relief. With Qingyue making a move, the matter here should be resolved. However, those senior students looked at Brother Xiaowu with eyes full of disdain. Peng Wu, this brat, is someone on the Transforming Saint board. He actually took the initiative to challenge a junior sister. Really too shameless. That's right. Why didn't I see that he was so shameless before? Hearing those ridiculing words, Peng Wu's face turned cold and he roared, All of you shut up. That girl, if you still don't come up, then it'll be considered as you forfeit. As his voice fell, the scene immediately fell silent. Qingyue slowly raised her head, her expression unchanged. She looked at Peng Wu as if she was looking at a fool. Taking a step forward, Qingyue said indifferently, Do it! Seeing this, Peng Wu frowned slightly and could not help but feel suspicious in his heart. Rolling his eyes, Peng Wu shouted in a low voice. A powerful divine sense fell from the sky and smashed towards Qingyue. Buzz! However, the moment that earth-shattering divine sense smashed onto Qingyue's body, it was like a stone falling into an abyss. It did not even cause the slightest ripple and dissipated without a trace. What's going on? Seeing this scene, Peng Wu immediately opened his eyes wide and shook his head violently, not daring to believe his eyes. However, before Peng Wu could take a closer look, a surge of divine sense suddenly burst out and slammed into his head. Boom! In an instant, Peng Wu felt as if his entire head was hit by a piece of wood. He was dizzy and could not even see the things in front of him clearly. The powerful force even caused Peng Wu to retreat several steps. His legs went weak and he almost knelt on the ground. Hiss! Oh my God, that girl looks so young and is still a freshman. She actually defeated a genius on the Transforming Saint board? Gulp! It can't be. Are all the freshmen this year so monstrous? He just entered the academy, but he already has the strength to match the holy rankings? Gasps rang out incessantly. Many senior students looked at Qingyue with horrified gazes. They couldn't believe that a girl who looked so gentle and quiet could actually explode with such strength. You lost. Qing Yu's expression was indifferent. She didn't even look at Peng Wu as she turned and walked back into the crowd. From start to end, Qingyue did not even glance at Peng Wu once. You? Puff! When he noticed this, Peng Wu's rage soared to the sky, and he couldn't help but spit out another mouthful of blood. Brother Wu! Inside the building, the four seniors hurriedly helped Peng Wu up and began to massage his back. Ah! Shangguan Yunqi's group burst into laughter as they looked at Peng Wu's group with interest. Shangguan Yunqi sneered, There are still 2 matches left, do you still want to continue? Hearing this, the faces of Peng Wu and the others turned unpleasant. The elder sized up Shangguan Yunqi and the others, his eyes filled with curiosity. He was very surprised that a few freshmen could actually defeat the seniors. They were truly gifted. Especially Qingyue, who hid her strength so well that even he didn't notice Qingyue's strength before she attacked. Yes, of course, we still want to continue. Peng Wu gritted his teeth and waved his hand, indicating for the other 2 to come forward. Boom! The 2 of them looked solemn. They knew that they couldn't lose. Immediately, they unleashed all their strength and glared at Shangguan Yunqi's group. Both Dao Feiyang and Yan Shihao frowned as they felt the surging divine consciousness attack. Looking at each other, the two of them couldn't help but swallow a mouthful of saliva. They could feel that their divine senses were not as strong as the other two. They hesitated, not knowing if they should attack. Noticing the hesitation of Dao Feiyang and Yan Shihao, Shangguan Yunqi started to panic. Apart from Shangguan Yunqi and Mui, Dao Feiyang and Yan Shihao were the strongest. If they were no match for them, even if they were replaced, they would lose without a doubt. At that moment, the rest of the freshmen also realized this, and their faces turned solemn. They didn't want to lose, not because they would lose a good position to cultivate, but because they didn't want to be looked down upon by the seniors. Humph! Attack! The two of them slowly walked toward Dao Feiyang and Yan Shihao, and gradually revealed hideous smiles. The surging divine sense was like a giant mountain, pressing down on the hearts of Dao Feiyang and Yan Shihao, and the rest of the crowd. Interesting. How dare you bully my people? Suddenly, a cold voice could be heard, and a figure landed in front of the crowd like a bolt of lightning. Not far away, the elder frowned and stared at the figure. This voice. Hearing the familiar voice, Shangguan Yunqi, Dao Feiyang, and the rest were stunned, and their faces were filled with joy. Ha ha! Senior Brother Lin is here. Senior Brother Lin is finally here. The freshmen were overjoyed and cheered. The seniors were shocked, especially Peng Wu and the other four. They couldn't help but take a few steps back. Lin Yi was the person who defeated Du Yuetian and Zhu Mingyong. His strength was definitely not something they could compare with. As the smoke and dust gradually dispersed, Lin Ye's figure appeared. In an instant, the seniors couldn't help but swallow a mouthful of saliva. Lin Ye's eyes were cold as he stared at Peng Wu and the rest. He said coldly, "What, do you want to fight with us? We're not fighting. We're just learning from each other." Peng Wu swallowed a mouthful of saliva, and he couldn't help but feel scared. Learning from each other? Lin Yi raised his eyebrows. Shangguan Yunqi quickly stepped forward and told Lin Yi what had happened. "I see." Nodding slightly, Lin Yi looked at Peng Wu and the rest and said with a smile, "All right, let's learn from each other. How about this? I won't bully you. The five of you will attack me together. If you can withstand my attack, we'll consider it our loss." Ah! Hearing this, Peng Wu and the rest looked at each other, and they were even more terrified. "Let's do it." As soon as he finished speaking, Lin Yi didn't even give them time to think. With a slight movement of his mind, he activated the 10,000 elephant scripture. His divine sense, as powerful as a mountain, suddenly turned into a giant tiger. With a roar, it pounced towards Peng Wu and the others like a ferocious tiger descending from a mountain. "Oh no!" Feeling the strong power, Peng Wu and the rest exclaimed. Each of them unleashed their strongest power and gathered their divine thought to protect their heads. Roar! Chapter 519. Roar! Whistling sounds echoed in the air. His divine sense was as sharp as a tiger's claw, slamming into Peng Wu and the other four's sea of consciousness. Boom! Like a thunderbolt, Peng Wu and the other four felt their heads tremble, and their eyes rolled back as they fainted. Plop! Plop! Crisp sounds echoed in the air as Peng Wu and the other four fell to the ground, twitching uncontrollably. Hiss! Heavens! How can Lin Ye's divine sense be so strong? Fighting 1 against 5, he actually managed to knock them all out in an instant. Is he a divine sense saint expert? If he really is a divine sense saint expert, then it's not hard to explain how he could defeat Zhu Mingyong and the others with his 9th tribulation, half-true saint cultivation. After all, a divine sense saint expert is invincible in the same realm. Gasps sounded in the air, as everyone who saw this scene was shocked beyond words, and they began to doubt Lin Ye's strength. It was extremely difficult for divine sense to reach the saint realm. Although each of them was a mid-stage saint expert, and some were even late-stage saint experts, their divine sense was far from reaching the saint realm. Ignoring the crowd, Lin Yi glanced at the unconscious Peng Wu and the other four, and shrugged his shoulders helplessly. Fainted just like that? Really weak. Shangguan Yunqi and the others revealed a bitter smile as they looked at the elder. At this time, it was still the elder's lecture time, and they had knocked people out. It was too abrupt, and they did not give the elder any face. Not bad little guy. The elder laughed. You're also a new disciple? That's right. Lin Yi turned around to look at the elder, and his brows were slightly furrowed, and his heart was filled with doubt. At first, Lin Yi thought that the elder was like the previous elder, deliberately supporting the older disciples to find trouble with the new disciples. But now, this elder's reaction did not seem like it. Young man, you're not bad. The elder nodded slightly, and the more he looked at Lin Yi, the more satisfied he was. Seeing this, Lin Yi saluted and sat down beside Shangguan Yunqi and the others. Looking down, he saw the unconscious Muyi and was shocked. Muyi he is? Muyi's divine sense has been injured. I'm afraid he won't be able to wake up for a short period of time. Shangguan Yunqi had a helpless look on his face. After all, they didn't have any understanding of divine sense, so they were unable to treat Muyi. It's fine. Not far away, the elder suddenly waved his hand. In an instant, a gentle wind rippled and blew past everyone. Buzz. Like a spring breeze, a fluctuation swept past. Soon, the unconscious Muyi, Peng Wu, and the others' eyebrows twitched, and their fingers began to move. Ugh! With a soft groan, Muyi, Peng Wu, and the others awoke. They quickly patted their bodies, and after discovering that they weren't injured, they let out a long sigh of relief. Students, please sit down and continue listening to the lecture. A gentle voice sounded. The elder was still explaining how to maximize the power of a divine sense attack. At first, Lin Yi just listened casually, but as time passed, Lin Yi became more and more fascinated. If Chen Daoxuan's explanation was to let people have a deeper understanding of spiritual force and improve their spiritual force, then this elder's explanation was to let people use their spiritual force better. However, this elder's philosophy was different from Chen Daoxuan's. Chen Daoxuan's cultivation method was to transform spiritual force into a tangible form and display a specific effect. For example, if he transformed into a bear, he would have a strong defensive power. If he transformed into a bird, he would be extremely agile. If he transformed into a beast, he would have a violent attack. This elder was completely different. His philosophy was to transform all spiritual force into a single entity. Only then could all the power contained within spiritual force erupt. It had to be said that this elder's understanding of spiritual force was particularly profound. Everyone was listening very seriously. Even if his understanding was different from Chen Daoxian and Lin Yi's, Lin Yi was still fascinated. After an hour, the lecture ended. The elder's voice gradually faded away, but no one was willing to stand up. Every student was lost in thought, recalling the elder's words. Even Lin Yi was savoring the aftertaste. He was constantly thinking about the various ways to use spiritual force and the various possibilities. Suddenly, Lin Yi's heart skipped a beat. He looked up and saw the elder smiling and waving at him. That's not right. No matter how fascinating the lecture is, it's impossible for all of us to be immersed in it. This must be his divine ability. Could it be that he deliberately wanted to communicate with me? Rolling his eyes, Lin Yi looked around and saw Shangguan Yunqi, Muyi, and the rest, including Qingyue, were all immersed in the lecture. He immediately understood. Slowly getting up, Lin Yi walked in front of the elder and bowed respectfully. Student Lin Yi greets the elder. May I know why the elder is looking for me? You little guy, you're quite clever. The elder laughed and said, Are you so sure that I'm looking for you? Other than me, is there anyone else who can wake up? Lin Yi said proudly. Other than Qingyue, who could still see with her spiritual force, the gap between him and the others was like heaven and earth. Interesting. The elder narrowed his eyes and suddenly asked, "What you're cultivating, is it the divine ability of 10,000 elephant? What's the relationship between you and Qin Daoxian?" After a moment of silence, Lin Yi very decisively told the elder about his cooperation with Qin Daoxian. He was not clear about the relationship between the elder and Qin Daoxian, but he could see that there seemed to be many factions within Cebu Gakuen. If he did not want to be involved in any of the factions, he could only tell the elder about their cooperation. He had agreed to help Qin Daoxian, but he could not put himself in danger. "I see." After knowing that Lin Yi and Qin Daoxian were only cooperating, the elder's expression softened. He smiled and said, "My name is Tian Xiao, you can call me Elder Tian." "Tian Xiao?" Hearing this, Lin Yi was slightly surprised. It was the first time he had heard this surname. However, as soon as he heard this name, Lin Ye's heart skipped a beat, as if there was a whistling sound reverberating in his ears. This made Lin Ye's expression turn serious. It was obvious that the elder's strength was not weak. It was very likely that he was at the level of Morong Ning and Qin Daoxian. "Little guy, after listening to my explanation, do you have any doubts in your heart? Or do you think that there is a conflict between me and the divine ability of 10,000 elephant?" Tian Xiao looked at Lin Yi with a smile. "I do have many doubts." Lin Yi did not put on any pretense and spoke out all the doubts in his heart. "Ah!" Tian Xiao laughed out loud. "Not bad, little guy, you are very honest. Indeed, what I cultivate is very contradictory to the divine ability of 10,000 elephant. You can't learn it, but you can improve your understanding of the divine ability of 10,000 elephant through the points of contradiction. There are 3,000 great paths in the world. Every cultivation technique has its own philosophy to support it. They are all different, but their essence is the same. All things come from different paths to the same destination. 3,000 heavenly paths, heaven and earth are one. Chapter 520. 3,000 heavenly Tao, heaven and earth as one. All living things lead to the same destination through different paths. These two sentences were like thunder that reverberated in Lin Ye's mind. Countless thoughts and insights emerged and burst forth in Lin Ye's mind. They collided and merged together. Epiphany. It's actually epiphany. Tian Xiao frowned and revealed a shocked expression. Epiphany was a mysterious state of cultivation. When one was in the state of epiphany, one's strength would increase by leaps and bounds. Of course, it was difficult to enter the state of epiphany. Even the most powerful genius would not dare to say that they could enter the state of epiphany. Lin Yi had only listened to his lecture once and entered the state of epiphany with just one sentence. This surprised Tian Xiao. This batch of new students seems to be quite talented. It looks like the following days are going to be interesting. Tian Xiao's lips curled up as he coughed gently. In an instant, all the disciples were awakened. Their bodies trembled as they looked around in a daze. "Elder! Elder!" When they saw Tian Xiao, they recalled what had happened earlier. They were shocked as they recalled the content of the lecture. Only a small number of people saw Lin Yi, who was daydreaming at the side. "The lecture is over. Everyone, go and cultivate." Tian Xiao waved his hand and flipped his right hand. A table appeared and there was a tea set on it. When everyone saw this, their mouths twitched and they were filled with admiration. Only someone at the elder's level could drink tea in such a calm manner in the heart-refining abyss, which was filled with danger. The students slowly left and began to look for a place to cultivate. Shangguan Yunqi and the others did not leave. They quietly approached Tian Xiao and looked at Lin Yi. They were not stupid. They could see that Lin Yi was in a mysterious state and had entered the state of epiphany. They did not dare to disturb Lin Yi. They wanted to go forward, but when they saw Tian Xiao sitting at the side, they did not dare to get too close. They only protected Lin Yi by his side. The other freshmen had already been dismissed by them. However, they hadn't seen Lin Yi for a day. The Heavenly Sword sect had just been established, so they had to discuss some matters with Lin Yi. Therefore, they had to wait here. Why aren't you leaving yet? After taking a sip of tea, Tian Shao slowly put down the teacup and said indifferently, while you haven't forgotten what I just said, you should cultivate as soon as possible. Cough cough. Shangguan Yunqi said awkwardly, Elder, we are waiting for him. We have other matters to attend to. What is it? It's actually more important than cultivation? Tian Shao raised his eyebrows slightly. He immediately looked at Qin Yu and said with a smile, Since you want to wait for him, then wait a little longer. He's in a state of epiphany. If we interrupt him rashly, I'm afraid it will affect his cultivation. After all, this is not a place for cultivation. Be careful of divine will attacks. After saying that, Tian Shao put away the tea set and slowly left. He left just like that? Seeing this scene, Shangguan Yunqi and the others were suddenly surprised and scratched their heads. Hiss! This guy, it's fine if he disappeared for a day, but now that he's here, he's actually in a state of epiphany. What if Big Brother Lin's epiphany doesn't end until the heart-refining abyss closes? What should we do then? Let's not talk about this first. Don't you think that Lin Ye's talent is too terrifying? Epiphany, that's a realm that can only be encountered and not sought. In everyone's surprise, Lin Ye's body suddenly rippled with a divine will storm. Boom boom boom. The violent divine will storm surged and instantly sent Shangguan Yunqi, Mui, and the others flying. Ah! In the next moment, Lin Ye's laughter rang out. Epiphany end. The divine will storm dissipated. Shangguan Yunqi, Mui, Dao Feiyang, and the others looked at Lin Yi, but their expressions changed slightly. They suddenly sensed that Lin Ye's aura was much stronger than before. Obviously, Lin Yi had obtained great benefits from this epiphany. Your divine will, Qin Yue's expression became more and more solemn. She suddenly said, In half a month I'll look for you. Finished speaking, Qin Yue turned and left. Shangguan Yunqi and the others were confused. What was going on? Didn't Qin Yue always treat Lin Yi the most special? Why did she leave now that Lin Ye's strength had improved? Lin Yi, you've finally appeared. However, Shangguan Yunqi and the others did not care much about these things. They just sighed and said, The Heavenly Sword sect has just begun to develop, but you, the sect leader, have run away. If it weren't for Sun Wuyu and Silent Soul, we're really afraid that you'd have abandoned us. Cough cough. Hearing this, Lin Yi, who was originally excited, immediately looked embarrassed. Stepping forward, Lin Yi smiled at Shangguan Yunqi and said, Brother Shangguan, I've already heard from Silent Soul. These 2 days, it's all thanks to you guys. Oh right, here's 1,000,000 points. Take it as the Heavenly Sword sect's development points. Finished speaking, Lin Yi raised his hand and raised the bracelet. 1,000,000 points? So much? Hearing this, Shangguan Yunqi and the others were shocked. A few days ago, with the help of the seniors and many demonic beasts, they had only obtained a few 100,000 points. Now, Lin Yi had only been missing for a day, and he had already taken out 1,000,000 points. It was really shocking. Brother Lin, don't tell me you went to rob the seniors? For a moment, Shangguan Yunqi, Dao Feiyang and the others looked at Lin Yi in shock. No. Lin Yi grinned and said, I'm not that kind of person. I'm already in the academy, how could I rob the seniors? The Heavenly Thunder Realm is a good place. If you need points in the future, you can refine the Thunder Origin Elixir and exchange it for points. At the same time, you can also temper your body and improve your strength. Oh? The Heavenly Thunder Realm is so good? Hearing this, Shangguan Yunqi and the others were shocked. Dao Feiyang frowned and asked doubtfully, That's impossible. I've been to the Heavenly Thunder Realm. You can improve your strength there, but it's very difficult to refine the Thunder Origin Elixir. It's said that even a late-stage saint can only refine one Thunder Origin Elixir in 6 hours. One Thunder Origin elixir is only 3,000 points. How can you earn so much? Hearing this, Shangguan Yunqi and the others looked at Lin Yi with strange expressions. In their minds, a possibility quietly emerged. Refining one Thunder Origin elixir in 6 hours? Lin Yi exclaimed, "It can't be? Is the refining speed of the Thunder Origin elixir so slow?" Slow? The corner of Dao Feiyang's mouth twitched. That's fast. Some people can only refine one Thunder Origin elixir in 8 or even 10 hours. If the Heavenly Thunder Realm didn't have the effect of tempering one's body, I'm afraid no one would refine the Thunder Origin elixir. Only some people who are proficient in body refining cultivation methods can refine the Thunder Origin elixir in 4 hours. Brother Lin, you've earned more than 1,000,000 points in one day. May I ask how many Thunder Origin elixirs you've refined? Not many, not many. Only 290. Lin Yi grinned and said, I didn't expect you to refine the Thunder Origin elixir so slowly. It seems that it's easier to survive in the blood refining ground. 290. Chapter 521. You're really a monster. Dao Feiyang sighed. I spent several days in the blood refining ground, the fastest place to earn points, but I only earned a few tens of thousands of points. The Heavenly Thunder Realm is so terrifying, but you, sigh. As his voice fell, Shangguan Yunqi and the others became more aware of the gap between themselves and Lin Yi. They could not help but sigh. At the beginning, they were a little unconvinced of Lin Yi and thought that one day they could surpass Lin Yi. But as time passed, they understood Lin Yi more and more. The unconvinced in their hearts completely dissipated and was replaced with respect and admiration. Since you've obtained so many points, then I won't be polite. Shangguan Yunqi decisively raised his wrist and accepted the 1,000,000 points from Lin Yi. Since Lin Yi was earning points so quickly, they naturally would not decline. It just so happens that the Heavenly Sword sect needs to develop, so these points are indispensable. Yes, with so many points, we can exchange them for several saint-grade treasures. Muyi and the others grinned. Seeing this scene, Lin Yi was quite comforted. It was obvious that Muyi and the others had thoroughly regarded the Heavenly Sword sect as their home. Alright, time is running out. Everyone, work hard to cultivate. Who? Lin Yi said in a deep voice. This elder's lecture is very good. I have a lot of insights, so you must also work hard to comprehend. Ha ha, that's natural. Shangguan Yunqi grinned. Originally, I just wanted to talk to you about the Heavenly Sword sect. Let's see if you still want to work. Since you've already gotten the points, and you still remember us, we won't disturb you any longer. After they finished speaking, Shangguan Yunqi, Muyi and Dao Feiyang left to find a place to cultivate. After coming to Cebu Gakuen, everyone's original intention was to enhance their own strength. They were willing to sacrifice so much time for Lin Yi and the Heavenly Sword sect, which was already rare. Lin Yi, on the other hand, strolled towards the core area. At this moment, his divine telekinesis had been enhanced to the 56th order. The divine telekinesis attacks on the periphery were unable to cause any harm to him. Under normal circumstances, Lin Yi would not be able to improve his spiritual force until he found the second scroll of the 3,000 heavenly Dao. However, after listening to Tian Zhao's explanation, Lin Yi came to a realization. No matter what kind of cultivation method, the core goal was to enhance the strength of one's divine sense. This way, there was no need to consider what kind of cultivation method it was, as long as one's divine sense was strengthened. The first scroll of the 3,000 heavenly Daos could only be cultivated up to the 55th order of spiritual force. Before he found the second scroll, Lin Yi could cultivate other cultivation techniques and break through to the next level. Therefore, in the epiphany just now, even though Lin Yi had yet to obtain the subsequent divine sense cultivation method, He had already broken through the shackles of cultivation and raised his divine sense to level 56. It could be said that this was an unprecedented feat that would never be replicated in the future. As he went deeper into the heart-refining abyss, the fluctuations of his divine sense became stronger. Lin Yi looked around. There were countless small rooms, and there were students cultivating in them. Those rooms had the effect of isolating divine sense fluctuations, allowing people to cultivate without any scruples, reducing the possibility of accidents. Not long after, a gray fog gradually rose in front of Lin Yi, blocking the path in front of him. Buzz, buzz, buzz. The invisible divine sense fluctuations became more violent. Noticing this, Lin Yi frowned slightly. He took a step forward, but there was a bang sound. Lin Yi looked over and saw that the gray fog had turned into a wall of light, blocking in front of Lin Yi. I can't go in here? Touching his nose, Lin Yi suddenly remembered that Murong Ning had given him a jade pendant when he talked about the qualifications to enter the core circle. Maybe I can go in with the jade pendant. Raising his eyebrows, Lin Yi called out the jade pendant. In the next moment, a faint silver-white glow appeared, and all the gray fog dissipated quickly like snow under the scorching sun. TSK, entering the core circle to cultivate is so troublesome? Exclaiming, Lin Yi stepped into the core circle. Buzz! Almost instantly, the divine sense fluctuations around him were like thousands of ghosts, whistling and attacking Lin Yi. Lin Yi was not prepared. He felt his mind go blank, and he could not help but be stunned on the spot. Buzz, buzz, buzz! The divine sense was like a bee's sting, and also like a ghost, constantly attacking Lin Yi. Even though Lin Ye's divine sense had reached the sage level, he could not be completely immune to these attacks. He kept hitting his head. Ha! After regaining his senses, Lin Yi gritted his teeth and activated the 3,000 heavenly ways with all his might. Although the 10,000 godly art could completely unleash his divine sense, at this moment, these divine sense attacks were overwhelming. The 10,000 godly art was too specific, and counterattacking was not as good as defending. As the 3,000 heavenly ways operated, all the damage that Lin Yi suffered was immediately eliminated. Lin Yi calmed down and slowly opened his eyes. In the core circle of the heart-refining abyss, there were no small houses. Instead, there were many futons, and beside the futons were arrays. Evidently, those spirit formations were used to protect the cultivators. The deeper he went, the greater the power contained in the formation beside the praying mat. Looking around, Lin Yi was surprised to find that there were actually several figures cultivating in the core of the area. One of them was none other than Peng Tianyu, whom he had met in the spirit gathering array and had fought with. It's him. TSK. His strength is far stronger than Zhu Mingyong. I didn't notice him last time, and I wonder what he is in the outer yard. It seems that those who can enter the core circle are not ordinary people. Even the weakest person is a peak saint. If he wants to gain a foothold in the outer yard, he still has a way to go. Narrowing his eyes, Lin Yi did not disturb Peng Tianyu and the rest, and walked deeper into the abyss. With the protection of the 3,000 heavenly ways, in addition to the divine sense waves of the 56th order, the divine sense attacks in the core circle could not cause him any harm. The deeper he went into the core circle, the grayish-white fog appeared. Lin Yi went forward and looked around, but he was shocked. Behind the grayish-white fog was an abyss. It was a void, and only gray fog could be seen. However, Lin Ye's eyes pierced through the abyss. What entered his eyes was a bubble, shining with a holy light, floating in the endless fog. Bang, bang, bang! Lin Ye's heart suddenly beat rapidly after seeing that bubble. TSK. What is this? Frowning, Lin Yi covered his chest with his hand and stared at that ball of bubble. As if he had seen a giant dragon made of lightning, Lin Yi could not control himself. This made him extremely surprised. Was Sibu Gakuin really so fated with him? He could obtain 2 great opportunities just by going to 2 mystic realms. There were even elders in the sacred depository who were willing to teach him divine sense cultivation. This treatment was simply like being the son of destiny. However, that ball of bubble was in the fog abyss. Even if he was fated with it, how could he obtain it? Chapter 522. Boom, boom, boom. Just as Lin Ye's right hand reached into the fog, behind the fog, the ball of water bubble suddenly began to boil like a raging inferno. Walala! The water bubble surged. In an instant, the fluctuation of divine sense swept out like a hurricane. Loud noises were heard continuously. The spiritual force hurricane turned into a storm and spun wildly, slowly spreading to the periphery. Damn it! Lin Ye's heart trembled, and he hurriedly tried to retract his hand. However, in the next moment, he was horrified to find that his hand had been sucked in by a huge force, and he was unable to move at all. What made his heart turn cold was that the ball of bubbles was actually slowly rising and rushing towards him. Lin Yi did not have to take the initiative. The bubble was also triggered by Lin Yi. Boom, boom. The berserk voice was like thunder, reverberating crazily. In an instant, the entire heart-refining abyss was in an uproar. Regardless of whether it was the core region or the periphery, all the students who were cultivating were awakened. Poof! The raging divine sense swept across like a gust of wind. The strongest among the students was only a peak saint. They could not withstand it and were injured on the spot, spitting out blood. Some of the weaker students felt a stabbing pain in their heads. Their spiritual force was in a daze and they could not move at all. The uproar in the heart-refining abyss was like an earth dragon turning over. It spread out mightily. Not only that, but the entire outer court of Cebu Gakuen was shaking violently. Countless elders, including Flawless White, rushed over. In less than 10 breaths, dozens of figures appeared above the heart-refining abyss. Damn it! Why is the heart-refining abyss in an uproar again? What is going on this year? In the past, there would not be an uproar even once in a few hundred years. But in the past few days, there have been 2 consecutive uproars. Many of the elders looked solemn and gloomy as they stared at the fog below. The originally calm white fog was now like a raging beast. The fog was like sharp teeth. The violent spiritual force kept wreaking havoc in the heart-refining abyss, tearing the bodies of many students apart. Walala! Suddenly, the white mist was shaken away. Murong Ning and the other elders of the heart-refining abyss each swept up hundreds of students, broke through the white mist, and flew straight into the air. Elder Bai, hurry up and attack! Seeing Flawless White, Murong Ning was overjoyed. He quickly shouted, "There are still many students inside. Quickly save them." This time, the heart-refining abyss has completely gone berserk. We'll suppress it. All right. Hearing that, Flawless White did not hesitate at all. He immediately waved his hand and led the elders into the heart-refining abyss. The heart-refining abyss could be said to be the most popular place for students besides the blood refinement field. At this moment, there were close to 10,000 students, which was quite a number. Even if all the elders worked together, it would be difficult to save all of them in a short period of time. Fortunately, with Flawless White and the other experts around, the surging divine sense could no longer hurt them. 15 minutes later, all the students had been rescued and were unconscious on the ground. In the heart-refining abyss, the violent spiritual force storm was becoming more and more violent. Everyone, get ready to seal the array. Murong Ning looked around and saw that there were no students in the heart-refining abyss. He immediately raised his hand. However, before he could give the order, a voice shouted urgently, "Murong, wait! There is another person in the core circle of the heart-refining abyss." After the voice finished speaking, everyone looked in the direction of the finger and was instantly shocked. Their faces were filled with astonishment. D***eminent. Why is there a student near the core circle? That is the spiritual force abyss. If one is not careful, he will be doomed eternally. No, that little guy seems to be Lin Yi. In an instant, the corners of Murong Ning, Flawless White, and the other elders' mouths twitched. They were dumbfounded and even forgot to seal the heart-refining abyss. Whoosh! Whoosh! Suddenly, before Flawless White, Murong Ning and the rest could attack, the violent spiritual force storm in the heart-refining abyss flowed back rapidly like a river flowing backward. In just 3 breaths' time, the heart-refining abyss, which had been raging violently, regained its calm. Countless spiritual forces and grayish-white fog gathered crazily above the abyss. In the blink of an eye, it turned into a giant cocoon and wrapped Lin Yi up. Gasp! What is going on? That student was swallowed by the spiritual force storm just like that? Oh no! After coming to their senses, Flawless White, Tian Xiao, Murong Ning and the other elders' faces changed drastically and they quickly flew forward. Boom! 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 However, just as they rushed into the heart-refining abyss, and before they could even get close to the giant cocoon, an invisible wave exploded. Boom! Without any hindrance, the dozens of figures were sent flying by the impact. Even Bai Wuxia's body trembled. Blood oozed out from the corner of his mouth without any regard for his life. As for the other elders, they were unable to resist and were thrown out. They fell hard on the ground and felt as though their bones were falling apart. They could not even muster up any strength. This horrified them as they looked at the giant cocoon in shock. The light around the giant cocoon was weak, but it gave people an indescribable fear. Damn it, how could this be? Flawless White frowned slightly and wiped the blood from the corner of his mouth. His eyes shone brightly as he stared at the giant cocoon. Buzz! A golden light suddenly shot out from Flawless White's eyes and scanned the giant cocoon. A figure appeared in Flawless White's eyes. After a while, the figure disappeared. Phew! It's good that he's fine. Seeing this scene, Flawless White could not help but let out a long sigh of relief. As long as Lin Yi was fine, everything was fine. This little guy really knows how to cause trouble. He just caused chaos in the heavenly thunder realm, and now the heart-refining abyss is completely rioting. I really don't know if our Cebu Gakuen will be safe and sound if we let him stay here any longer. When this matter is over, we must chase him out and let him cause more trouble for the people outside. After making up his mind, Flawless White's figure slowly descended. He placed his hands behind his back and looked at the giant cocoon quietly. There was still a divine light in his eyes. In his heart, as long as Lin Yi was fine, it was fine. As for the heart-refining abyss, it was not within his consideration. Elder Bai. Cough cough. Elder Bai, what should we do next? Many elders got up with difficulty amidst the violent coughing. They gathered around Flawless White and stared at the giant cocoon nervously. Go and call the first elder. Also, activate the Academy's array. If the people inside are in danger, take action at any time and completely suppress the entire heart-refining abyss. Flawless White said in a deep voice, Murong Ning, Tianxiao, the two of you get ready to support at any time. Lin Yi, this little guy, is really too good at causing trouble. Murong Ning's mouth twitched. How long has it been? He actually caused the heart-refining abyss to become like this again. Chapter 523. The spiritual force storm was like a hurricane, wreaking havoc. However, Lin Yi was wrapped in a ball of bubbles within the huge light cocoon. Under the protection of the bubble, the spiritual force attacks could not harm him at all. As for the fog, it treated him like a treasure. Countless amounts of fog turned into the purest form of spiritual force and poured into Lin Ye's body and mind, allowing him to absorb it freely. In an instant, Lin Ye's spiritual force, which had just broken through to rank 56 and had not yet stabilized, suddenly grew at an extremely fast speed. His foundation became more solid and his strength became more vigorous and profound. Logically speaking, Lin Ye's spiritual force breakthrough to rank 56 was completely coincidental. Before he obtained a new spiritual force cultivation method, it would be very difficult for him to completely stabilize his spiritual force. However, this time, with the help of the heart-refining abyss, this problem was easily solved. Not to mention that it could not be stabilized. Now Lin Yi could break through to rank 57 at any time as long as he wanted to. This made Lin Yi feel as if he was dreaming. The breakthrough of spiritual force was far more difficult than martial cultivation. To break through twice in a day was like a fantasy story. After completely stabilizing his spiritual force, the pure spiritual force formed by the gray fog surged into the depths of Lin Ye's mind. At the same time, the ball of bubbles also rippled with a special force. It followed the spiritual force and rushed into the depths of Lin Ye's mind. Boom! As if the world was spinning, Lin Ye's mind went blank and his entire body froze on the spot. In his mind, the spiritual force and the special force gathered together and constantly stirred and collided. Not long after, another spiritual force appeared. The moment that spiritual force appeared, it exploded with a strong suction and devouring force, crazily devouring the power. Walala! The white fog was like flowing water, gathering in Lin Ye's body. The ball of bubbles also became weaker and weaker. Not long after, the gray fog surrounding the heart-refining abyss had become much thinner. In some places it could not even stop people. What was even more shocking was that the white fog was gradually shrinking. The numerous elders who had been watching from the sidelines were so shocked that their jaws dropped when they saw this scene. Hiss! Isn't this little guy too good at causing trouble? The heart-refining abyss has existed for hundreds of years, and no one has ever been able to move the white mist. Luckily, the sky market is about to open. When the time comes, we can just throw him in so that he won't harm us again. Not bad. Many elders ridiculed him. Before Lin Yi arrived, the entire outer courtyard was peaceful. It had only been 3 days, and so many things had happened which really shocked them. Even Flawless White, Murong Ning, and the others shook their heads and sighed helplessly. It felt like an eternity, but it also felt like an instant. Lin Ye's consciousness gradually awakened, but he appeared before the Chaos Divine Tree. At this moment, the Chaos Divine Tree was much stronger and healthier than before, causing Lin Yi to be slightly surprised. What shocked Lin Yi even more was a figure. Biluo, why are you here? Lin Yi was extremely shocked and could not believe his eyes. In the world of Great Xia, in order to kill the Demon Emperor, he had forcefully borrowed Biluo's power, causing Biluo to fall into a coma for 3 years. But now, only a few months had passed, and Biluo had awakened again, which really shocked him. However, after the shock, Lin Yi was ecstatic. Not only was Biluo powerful, but she also knew a lot. With her around, many things could be avoided. Why? You don't seem to want to see me? Sensing Lin Ye's surprise, Biluo raised her eyebrows and looked at Lin Yi. How could it be? Lin Yi smiled and said, I'm just too surprised. It's really great that you can recover so quickly. Oh right, didn't you say that you need 3 years to recover? It's only been a few months now, how did you wake up? What? It's only been a few months? Hearing that, Biluo was also surprised. She knew that the injuries she suffered the last time were very serious and very difficult to recover. 3 years was already a relatively fast guess. She did not expect that she would recover in just a few months. Huff. Taking a deep breath, Biluo said in a deep voice, I didn't expect that your luck is actually so heaven-defying. In these few months, I believe that you must have obtained many opportunities. At the same time that your divine sense was improving, it also accelerated my recovery. Saying that, Biluo carefully sized up Lin Yi and immediately sucked in a breath of cold air, becoming more and more certain of her guess in her heart. Your improvement is really fast. How long has it been and you're about to break through to the sage realm? The power of your divine sense even broke through to the peak of level 56. Give you some more time, I'm afraid that you can kill the demon emperor and the rest without my help. Unfortunately, the time left for me back then was really too little. Lin Yi shrugged. No matter what, it's all in the past, and you've already woken up. Although I've woken up, my strength hasn't recovered yet. Biluo sighed and narrowed her eyes. After a moment, she suddenly asked, Where are you now? Why do I feel that the spiritual energy fluctuation here is so strong? This is Cebu Gakuen. Lin Yi nodded slightly. Almost every place here has a spiritual energy gathering array, so the spiritual energy fluctuation is naturally strong. No wonder, Biluo said in surprise. This place is not bad, and I keep feeling that there's a treasure outside. No. What's wrapped around your body seems to be origin source heavenly water. Biluo looked at Lin Yi in surprise. Origin source heavenly water? Lin Yi was also surprised. A treasure that could surprise Biluo was definitely extraordinary. It's really origin source heavenly water, Biluo said in a deep voice. With origin source heavenly water, the first stage of the chaotic sacred tree can be perfected. Didn't you ask me in the past how to nurture the chaotic sacred tree to the second stage? I can tell you now. To nurture the chaotic sacred tree to the second stage, the first thing you have to do is to perfect the first stage until the chaotic sacred tree can no longer be perfected. Also, your cultivation realm has surpassed the sage level. Given your current breakthrough speed, surpassing the sage level will probably only take a few decades or 100 years. Next, you should start collecting divine items to nurture the chaotic sacred tree. Then how should I collect the origin source heavenly water? Lin Yi rubbed his nose. He didn't expect that there would be a treasure in the heart refining abyss that could nurture the chaotic sacred tree. I'll help you later to draw the origin source heavenly water into your body. Then, they will merge with the chaotic sacred tree. Biluo said in a deep voice, The reason why they pestered you is because they sense the aura of the chaotic sacred tree. The chaotic sacred tree and the origin source heavenly water are one. I have to say that your fate is extremely good. Your domain has long broken through the shackles, and you coincidentally obtained the origin source heavenly water. It's enough to comprehend the power of laws. Power of laws? Chapter 524. The Power of Laws? Lin Yi was surprised. Isn't it said that one can't comprehend the power of laws until they reach a certain level? That's for ordinary people. Biluo smiled. You have fate and the chaotic divine tree. Naturally, you can comprehend the power of laws in advance. The power of laws transcended domains and had astonishing power. It also had a great suppressive effect on domains. If two people were of similar cultivation levels and one had comprehended the power of laws while the other had not, the person who comprehended the power of laws could break the other person's domain in an instant and defeat him. At the thought of this, Lin Ye's breathing could not help but quicken. If he could comprehend the power of laws, his strength would rise to another level. Of course, before you comprehend the power of laws, you must become a saint. Biluo suddenly said, If you're not even a saint, even the chaotic divine tree won't be able to comprehend the power of laws. Alright, let's not waste time. Hurry and draw the origin source heavenly water in. As soon as she finished speaking, Biluo gently placed her hands together. In a split second, Lin Yi felt his entire body tremble. The next moment, the silvery white light turned into liquid and flowed into his body. Walala! The moment the origin source heavenly water entered Lin Ye's body, the chaotic divine tree flickered with light. The two resonated at the same time. Sensing the chaotic divine tree's guidance, the origin source heavenly water quickly came to Lin Ye's consciousness and merged with the chaotic divine tree. Biluo's originally slightly illusory figure gradually solidified. At the same time, the water bubble that enveloped Lin Yi in the grayish-white fog slowly dissipated. After the water bubble disappeared, the grayish-white fog and the divine consciousness storm stopped and gradually calmed down. In less than an hour, the giant cocoon completely dissipated. The grayish-white fog spread outwards and shrouded the heart-refining abyss again. The origin source heavenly water also completely merged with the chaotic divine tree. Lin Yi, whose eyes were tightly shut, quietly woke up. Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. The moment Lin Yi woke up, he heard the sound of air being torn apart. The next moment, the figures of several elders appeared and surrounded him. "Phew, as long as you're all right." After confirming that Lin Yi was not injured, Flawless White and the other elders heaved a sigh of relief. "Thank you for your concern, elders." Lin Yi cupped his fists and bowed. Now that he had caused such a huge commotion, there was no need to ask. There would definitely be elders nearby. "You little brat, you still know how to trouble us," Murong Ning said angrily. "Every time we come to the heart-refining abyss, it causes a riot. I won't dare to let you come here in the future." And the Heavenly Thunder Realm. The elders of the Heavenly Thunder Realm laughed bitterly. Up until now, the power of thunder has not completely recovered. My heart-refining abyss will take at least half a month to recover. Murong Ning sighed. Fortunately, the periphery is not affected. Just as Murong Ning and the other elders were teasing Lin Yi, Flawless White walked up to the abyss and sized it up. "Lin Yi, did you take away the holy water inside?" Suddenly, Flawless White's voice sounded. Murong Ning and the others' expressions changed slightly, and they quickly turned to look at the abyss. "Is the holy water really gone?" The corners of their mouths twitched. Murong Ning and the other elders in charge of the heart-refining abyss looked at Lin Yi strangely. The reason why the heart-refining abyss had the power to refine one's soul was because of the holy water and the grayish-white fog. Now that the holy water was taken away and only the grayish-white fog was left, the effects of the heart-refining abyss might disappear. Cough, cough. Lin Yi coughed awkwardly and said softly, "Well, I don't know what happened, but the origin heavenly water ran into my body automatically. But don't worry, this place is a little special. In less than half a year, new origin heavenly water will be born. In this half a year, I can provide some origin heavenly water first, so it won't delay your cultivation." After the chaotic divine tree and the origin heavenly water merged, a river automatically opened up in the ninefold space, and it was filled with origin heavenly water. According to Biluo, the chaotic divine tree and the origin heavenly water complemented each other and could strengthen each other. In addition, the origin heavenly water had many benefits, so Lin Yi naturally wouldn't reject it. Origin heavenly water? That's the origin heavenly water. Hearing Lin Ye's words, Flawless White and the others were shocked and looked at Lin Yi in shock. "You don't know that's the origin heavenly water?" Lin Ye's mouth twitched. "Hiss. We've heard of the origin heavenly water. That's a divine item." Flawless White sighed and said, "I didn't expect that after searching for so long, it has already appeared in front of us. Yes, I really didn't expect that to be the origin heavenly water." The rest of the elders sighed together. If they had known that it was the origin heavenly water, they would have taken it out. The origin heavenly water had many magical uses and was worthy of being called a divine item. Lin Yi. At that thought, Flawless White's face turned serious. He stared at Lin Yi and said in a low voice, "Can you take out some of the origin heavenly water for us to study?" "Of course, we won't let you lose out. I can open the Inner Yard's sacred depository to you. You can exchange for one item for free if you have less than 10 million points. In addition, I can also personally sponsor you with 2 million points. Huh! Lin Yi looked at Flawless White in shock. He didn't expect Flawless White to offer such generous conditions. After all, He was a member of Cebu Gakuin. Moreover, he had obtained the origin heavenly water from the heart-refining abyss. He was willing to do it for free, let alone such a generous reward. Elder Bai, you're exaggerating. Lin Yi cupped his fists and said, I obtained the origin heavenly water from the heart-refining abyss. Even if it's free, I'm willing to contribute some origin heavenly water, let alone points. Great. That's right. Hearing that, Flawless White, Murong Ning, and the other elders were shocked. They looked at Lin Yi doubtfully and felt even more satisfied. Who wouldn't like someone who valued friendship and loyalty? The origin heavenly water was a divine item. No matter how many points they had, they couldn't compare to it. Therefore, they didn't expect Lin Yi to contribute the origin heavenly water. But now, Lin Yi's attitude made them feel ashamed. They were the ones who judged a gentleman with their own mean measure. You're not bad, kid. I didn't misjudge you. Tian Xiao laughed out loud. If you have any problems with your divine thought in the future, you can come to me anytime. Kid, the elixir dispensary will always welcome you. In an instant, the elders were very satisfied with Lin Yi. Flawless White laughed out loud. Good kid, since you've agreed, that's great. However, I've already said it. You don't want me to be a person who goes back on his words, right? When I return to the inner yard, I'll talk to the Supreme and give you the right to open the inner yard's sacred depository. Can you take out the origin heavenly water for us to take a look? Chapter 525. No problem. With a smile, Lin Yi extended his right hand. In the next moment, a milky white holy light surged. Gurgle gurgle. A stream of water appeared out of thin air. In an instant, a gentle energy rippled through the space like a spring breeze, refreshing one's heart and mind. Almost at the same time, Flawless White and the rest felt as though their bodies had been sublimated. This is the origin source holy water? Gulp. Looking at it, I feel like I'm dozens of years younger. Swallowing sounds could be heard. Even Flawless White, Murong Ning, and the rest were tempted. Divine items were existences that surpassed the sage level and had indescribable fate. I'll place this origin source heavenly water in the heart-refining abyss and guarantee that it will last for half a month. With that, Lin Yi waved his right hand and the origin source heavenly water turned into a stream of light, breaking through the grayish-white fog and entering the abyss again. Gurgle gurgle. The origin source heavenly water landed in the abyss and turned into a ball of water bubbles after a short while, exactly the same as before. Buzz buzz buzz. At the same time, the divine consciousness fluctuation in the heart-refining abyss intensified again. The grayish-white fog became thicker. Although it was not as thick as before, it had recovered a lot. Seeing this, Murong Ning could not help but heave a sigh of relief. The heart-refining abyss did not need to be closed anymore. Also, this origin source heavenly water is my contribution to the Academy. A rich holy aura, mixed with the power of life, appeared. A ball of origin source heavenly water appeared. It was more than 5 times bigger than the previous one. SSS, all the elders were stunned when they saw this. They had seen the origin heavenly water before, so they knew that the origin heavenly water contained within was only half as large as this one. Now, Lin Yi was willing to contribute half of it directly, which made them feel touched. Lin Yi, are you really willing to contribute so much? Flawless White stared at Lin Yi. Of course. Lin Yi smiled and said, It's good for me if the Academy can develop better. Ah, good lad. Flawless White smiled in relief. However, we don't need that much to study the origin source heavenly water. As he laughed, Flawless White extended his right index finger and gently swiped at the origin source water. In the next moment, the origin source water was immediately sliced apart. After taking a fifth of it, Flawless White smiled and said, You can take back the rest. I'll make a trip back to the inner court first. I'll give you the rest of the items when I return in a few days. After saying that, Flawless White did not give Lin Yi a chance to react. He turned around and left. The corners of Lin Yi's mouth twitched as he looked at the remaining Origin Heavenly Water. Spiritual Qi was abundant in the ninefold space. Coupled with the chaotic Divine Tree, the Origin Heavenly Water's environment was excellent. There was no need to worry. Helplessly withdrawing the Origin Source Heavenly Water, Lin Yi looked at Murong Ning and the others. He smiled and said, "Elders, do you still need me here?" "No need." Murong Ning shook his head and said with a smile, "The Origin Source Heavenly Water has returned, and the Heart-Refining Abyss has also stabilized. It's fine now." "Huff, it's just that we still need you to make another trip after some time." Murong Ning turned to look at the abyss and said in a deep voice, "You said earlier that you would come once every half a month, but you underestimated the Heart-Refining Abyss. This ball of Origin Source Heavenly Water is just a clone after all. It's very difficult for it to last that long. Elder, after the Origin Source Heavenly Water is exhausted, you can look for me anytime." Lin Yi nodded slightly. "Huff, I hope the new Origin Source Heavenly Water can appear soon." Murong Ning sighed and said, "It's not a good thing to keep troubling you. Alright, you can leave first. Go to the Elixir Dispensary and Fire Cloud platform early to take a look. Try to cause trouble for them too." Ah! As soon as he finished speaking, all the elders burst into laughter. "Cough cough, that depends on whether the elders welcome me or not." Lin Yi grinned, then cupped his fists and left with the elders. After Lin Yi left, the elders looked at each other and suddenly sighed. How many years has it been since a student who can treat Cebu Gakuen as his own family has appeared? Not only is this kid extremely talented, but his character is also perfect. I kind of like him. It's a pity that this kid is not someone who stays in the pond. With his talent, he will enter the inner yard very soon. At that time, we will only be able to hear his legend. Amidst the laughter, the elders left the Heart-Refining Abyss, leaving only Murong Ning, Tian Shao, and a few others to quietly stabilize the Heart-Refining Abyss. Although the riot had ended, it would still take some effort to completely stabilize the Heart-Refining Abyss without harming the students. After walking out of the Heart-Refining Abyss, Lin Yi was stunned and could not help but open his mouth wide. Outside the Heart-Refining Abyss, thousands of people were lying on the ground and had yet to wake up. The Heart-Refining Abyss was rioting. The divine sense undulations were extremely intense. With their strength, they were unable to resist. Even with the help of the elders, they were still unconscious. Wanting to wake up, it would take at least a day. Lin Yi hurriedly found Shangguan Yunqi and the rest, and quickly dragged them all together. And, just as he was about to make a move, Qingyue's eyelashes twitched, gradually waking up. She was a divine sense saint after all. Her resistance to divine sense far surpassed others. Helping Qingyue up, Lin Ye's mind stirred. A drop of Origin Heavenly Water appeared and entered Qingyue's body. The next moment, Qingyue only felt the depths of her sea of consciousness tumble. She suddenly woke up, feeling refreshed, making her incomparably surprised. "Many thanks." Although she did not know what Lin Yi did, Qingyue could feel that her body had changed. She immediately thanked Lin Yi. Smiling slightly, seeing that Qingyue recovered, Lin Yi lightly flicked his finger. Several more drops of Origin Heavenly Water entered Shangguan Yunqi, Muyi, Dao Feiyang, and the rest. Instantly, the expressions of Shangguan Yunqi 4 people eased up a lot. The Heart-Refining Abyss riot this time was caused by you again? Qingyue suddenly stared at Lin Yi closely. Only you didn't faint. Also, your divine sense undulation seems to be stronger than before. Your observation is quite detailed. Lin Yi said with a smile, "That's right. The riot this time was because of me again. I obtained some benefits from it. Therefore, my divine sense power also improved." Seeing Lin Yi really admit it, Qingyue's gaze when looking at Lin Yi immediately became strange. Freak. After a moment of silence, Qingyue finally spat out a word. Immediately, she gritted her teeth and said, "Cancel the gambling fight in a few days first. After I break through, I'll go find you." "Ah." Lin Yi laughed out loud. "When you break through, I might break through too." "Humph, I don't believe it. How long has it been since you broke through?" Gritting her teeth, Qingyue suddenly said, "An inner court senior called me to go to a ruin together. Do you want to go together?" That ruin was left behind by divine sense heavenly sage. "Oh? When?" Raising his brows, Lin Ye's interest was piqued as he looked at Qingyue. "The exact time is not set. If you agree, I'll contact you again in a few days. I'll go back and cultivate first. Humph, one day I'll surpass you." Rolling her eyes at Lin Yi, Qingyue turned around and leaped away. "Strange, why does this girl keep saying that she wants to surpass me?" Chapter 526. Ugh. Shangguan Yunqi Mui and the others woke up one after another. As soon as they woke up, Shangguan Yunqi and the others immediately wailed, "My head hurts." "Hiss, what's happening? It seems like the heart-refining abyss is rioting again. It's only been a few days and there are consecutive riots. Is the heart-refining abyss really that dangerous?" Shangguan Yunqi Mui and the others looked at each other and complained. Lin Yi could not help but cough awkwardly and said, "This is also a special reason. There won't be any problems in the future. The heart-refining abyss is very effective. It can temper everyone's divine sense." "Oh? Brother Lin." Shangguan Yunqi and the others were surprised to hear Lin Ye's words. Only then did they realize that Lin Yi was also there. Shangguan Yunqi and the others were delighted. Just as they were about to speak, they suddenly realized that Lin Ye's condition was quite good. It did not seem like he had just fainted. They immediately asked, "Brother Lin, you were not injured just now?" "No. Don't tell me you're the one behind this riot again?" After saying that, Shangguan Yunqi and the others looked at Lin Yi strangely. "Ahem." Lin Yi smiled awkwardly and said, "There was a small problem during the cultivation process." "Brother Lin." Shangguan Yunqi suddenly grabbed Lin Ye's wrist and said seriously, "Next time, please tell me where you are going to cultivate. I will definitely avoid you." Lin Ye's face froze. He then smiled and stared at Shangguan Yunqi. "Today's weather is good. Little Dao, the saint energy in your body is surging. Are you going to break through soon?" Dao Feiyong, Mui, and Yan Shihao quickly changed the topic. "Alright, let's hurry up and cultivate." Helplessly glancing at Shangguan Yunqi and the others, Lin Yi slowly got up and stretched. "After cultivating for a few days, I should also take a break." Shangguan Yunqi and the others got up and said goodbye to Lin Yi. Just as they turned around, they were surprised. Only then did they realize that the ground was full of people. "Brother Lin, why haven't they woken up yet?" Shangguan Yunqi and the others were curious. "They will wake up tomorrow," Lin Yi said snappily. "I already spent a lot of energy waking you up. I don't have the time to save them." The corners of Shangguan Yunqi's mouth twitched, but his heart was filled with gratitude. Their strength was not considered outstanding among the many students. Now that they had woken up early, it was clear that Lin Yi must have spent a lot of effort to wake them up. "Alright, hurry up and cultivate. I'll make a trip to the sacred depository pavilion first." Waving his hand, Lin Yi leaped up and rushed towards the Saint Depository Pavilion. Biluo had just woken up. If she wanted to completely stabilize her condition, she would need some spiritual herbs and saint pills. Once again arriving at the Saint Depository Pavilion, Lin Yi directly dashed towards the 10th level. However, just as he arrived at the 5th level, Biluo called out to him. "There's no need to go up. I can feel the sacred medicine that can strengthen my soul." Under Biluo's guidance, Lin Yi quickly came to a shelf with 3 silver bottles on it. He stretched out his right hand and a screen appeared. Heavenly Fragrance Soul-Nurturing Pill, Upper Grade Saint Pill. It has a strong effect on strengthening one's soul. Even a dying person can condense their soul and prevent it from dissipating. Points required: 500,000. 7 Soul-Nurturing Powder, Upper Grade Saint Pill. It has the effect of strengthening one's soul and strengthening one's foundation. Points required: 600,000. Heavenly Heart Pill, Upper Grade Saint Pill. It has a certain probability of entering a mysterious state and has a chance to comprehend the heavenly eye, heavenly heart, and other secret skills. Points required: 10,000. Pills related to the soul are so expensive? After seeing the price, Lin Yi could not help but be surprised. The soul and divine consciousness are the most mysterious parts of the human body. These pills are naturally much more expensive. These 2 pills are of good quality. It's enough for me to stabilize my soul, Biluo said in a low voice. You don't have to exchange for the Heavenly Heart Pill. There are other good pills around. Remember to take a look. All right. Nodding his head slightly, Lin Yi spent 1,000,000 points to buy the 2 types of medicinal pills. Immediately after, Lin Yi strolled around the surroundings again. This area was filled with pills related to the soul and divine consciousness. However, most of them were pills to develop the soul and divine consciousness. They were not suitable for Biluo. Either that, the effect was not enough and could not take effect on Biluo. After searching for a long time, a type of pill was reflected in Lin Ye's eyes. Yin-Yang Mysterious Ascension Pill, Upper Grade Saint Pill. Uses the power of yin and yang to consolidate and raise the user's soul strength. Points required: 5,000,000. This is the Yin-Yang Mysterious Ascension Pill. Biluo's voice became excited. This pill must be obtained. Not only can it raise your divine consciousness, it can also let me recover more strength. Hiss. 5,000,000 points, this is not easy. Rubbing his nose, Lin Yi could not help but smile bitterly. Now, the power of thunder in the heavenly thunder realm had not been completely restored. He could no longer refine the thunder origin pill to earn points. If he wanted to earn points from other places, the speed would be much slower. 5,000,000 points to him was not a small number. Fortunately, I did not reject Elder Bai's suggestion. In a few days, I will use that authority to exchange for it. After making up his mind, Lin Yi turned and left. He had given all the points he earned to Silent Soul, Shangguan Yunqi, and the others to maintain the operation of the Sky Rapier sect. After exchanging for the 2 pills, he only had a few 100,000 points left. He was completely a pauper. If he saw any good things, he could only look at them. Earn more points in the next few days, Biluo said in a low voice. The sooner you exchange for the Yin-Yang Mysterious Ascension Pill, the sooner I can protect myself. At the same time, raise your divine consciousness. Points are not easy to earn. Lin Yi sighed. Just as he turned around, a person bumped into him. Lin Yi hurriedly retreated and looked up. He saw that the person was Peng Tianyu, who had competed with him for spiritual energy in the spirit gathering array last time. It's you. Peng Tianyu blinked his eyes and suddenly said with a smile, You're in the limelight these days. However, why do you not look very happy? In the limelight. Lin Yi raised his eyebrows. That's right. Peng Tianyu laughed. You and another woman caused a riot in the heart refining abyss, and then you consecutively defeated the experts in the top 50 of the Saint Transforming list. These few days, all I've heard are rumors about you. For a freshman to be able to do this, I really admire you. Phew, what's the use of these? Lin Yi curled his lips and said, You might as well give me a few more points. So you are doing this for points, Peng Tianyu said in a low voice. Although you are not a saint yet, with your strength, if you go to the heavenly thunder realm, you should be able to refine the thunder origin pill. The speed of getting points is not slow. However, I don't know why, but from today onwards, the power of thunder in the heavenly thunder realm will weaken. After a few days you can go and try. Cough cough. Lin Yi said awkwardly. The heavenly thunder realm has been weakened by me. Where should I go to get points these few days? Chapter 527. After all this time, it turns out that the weakening of the heavenly thunder realm's lightning is also because of you. The corner of Peng Tianyu's mouth twitched as he sighed helplessly. Apart from the heavenly thunder realm, the fastest place to obtain points is the blood refinement field. However, you're in the limelight these few days. I'm afraid no one dares to bet with you. The powerhouses in the top 50 of the Saint Transformation ranking usually won't appear in the blood refinement field. It's very difficult for you to find someone on the ranking to challenge. That's why it's really too difficult to obtain points. Lin Yi shrugged his shoulders and suddenly asked, "Oh right, Brother Peng, do you know how many points the 45th person on the Saint Transformation ranking can obtain every month?" The top 50 can obtain 500,000 points every month. Peng Tianyu smiled and said, "The top 30 is 700,000, the top 20 is 900,000, and the top 10 is 1.5 million. As for the top 3, I don't know. We've never seen the top 3 of the Saint Transformation ranking." At this point, Peng Tianyu's expression became slightly solemn. Rubbing his nose, Lin Yi suddenly looked at Peng Tianyu. "Brother Peng knows so much. Your ranking shouldn't be low, right?" It's just the 30th place." Peng Tianyu smiled faintly. Lin Yi was slightly surprised. "With your strength as a peak saint, you're actually not in the top 20? Peng Tianyu smiled and said, "So what if I'm a peak saint? It's not the inner court assessment yet. All the rankings are fake. With my current strength, I'm afraid I can't even rank in the top 50 in the entire outer court." "So that's how it is." Lin Ye's heart trembled. Recalling Flawless White's words, he immediately understood. The outer court was filled with crouching tigers and hidden dragons. It was definitely not as simple as he thought. "Looks like I have to tell Shangguan and the rest to be more careful in the future. If they provoke those dark horses, it won't be easy to handle." Suddenly, Peng Tianyu asked, "You're in such a hurry to obtain points?" "Yes." Lin Yi bitterly smiled. "You should know about the matter of the Heavenly Sword sect. Since I've created this force, I can't just ignore it. I need to spend too many points." "Ha ha ha!" Peng Tianyu laughed. "Of course I know about the Heavenly Sword sect. It's said that they're doing a good job there, and they have a lot of benefits. Some old people even want to join. However, I heard that you're a hands-off boss. Other than when we're fighting, you're not around at all." "I've sacrificed a lot for the Heavenly Sword sect." Lin Yi shrugged helplessly. "Since you're so desperate for points, I have a mission that I'm looking for. I'm not sure if you're interested." Peng Tianyu's expression was grave. "What mission?" Raising an eyebrow, Lin Yi hurriedly looked at Peng Tianyu. "This is a mission issued by the Elixir Pavilion Elder. If you don't accept it, I can't tell you the specific requirements." Peng Tianyu said in a deep voice, "This mission requires you to leave Cebu Gakuen for a while. If you can accept it, I'll take you to see the elder." "Leave for a few days?" Lin Yi raised an eyebrow. "At least 3 to 5 days, at most 10 days. Peng Tianyu said, "We'll set off tomorrow. We're still short of 2 people. If you can accept it, I'll take you to see the elder. The mission gives a lot of points as a reward." "Then what are we waiting for? Take me to see the elder." Amidst the laughter, Lin Yi and Peng Tianyu left the sacred depository together and rushed to the Elixir Pavilion. It had to be said that the world was unpredictable. The last time they met, they were fighting to the death. This time, they were like brothers. The Elixir Pavilion did not occupy a large area. However, as soon as they got close, they could smell the rich fragrance of elixirs. As they approached the elixir pavilion, Lin Yi casually glanced around and saw several students refining elixirs. As for the interior of the elixir pavilion, it was filled with the rich fragrance of elixirs and the fluctuation of flames. Peng Tianyu was obviously a frequent customer of the elixir pavilion. He brought Lin Yi directly to the third floor. The third floor was a hall. Many people were leaning against the counter, and several elders were receiving them. "What's this for?" Lin Yi raised an eyebrow. "Selling elixirs?" "Yes." Peng Tianyu smiled and said, "This is the place where people buy and sell elixirs and accept missions. The missions hanging on the wall include collecting herbs, protecting alchemists, and others. This elixir pavilion is quite fun." The corners of Lin Ye's mouth curled up slightly. He was quite interested. "Okay, follow me." Peng Tianyu brought Lin Yi deep into the third floor and turned into a passage. He said, "The mission I accepted this time was directly from the elders. Perhaps the elders will test your strength. When the time comes, you don't have to be nervous. Just use your full strength." "Okay." Seeing that this mission was so unique, Lin Yi was excited. It seemed that he could earn another round of points. After a while, Peng Tianyu brought Lin Yi to a secret room. Peng Tianyu went up and knocked on the door, then waited quietly. Lin Yi did not dare to make a sound. He just looked at the stone room. "Come in." After a while, a weak voice sounded. Peng Tianyu pushed open the stone door and led Lin Yi in. As soon as they entered the stone room, they were greeted by a special elixir fragrance. It was not rich, but it left a deep impression on them. An alchemy cauldron was flickering with fire. It contained a strong power. Behind the alchemy cauldron sat an old man. His face was withered and his body was weak. He was all skin and bones. He looked quite scary. "Elder Lu." Peng Tianyu bowed slightly and pulled Lin Yi, who was still in a daze. This is..." Lu Ruoxu looked up and glanced at Lin Yi. He said in a deep voice, "Although your cultivation level is low, the power in your body is so violent. You're a good kid." "A new student this year?" "Yes, I'm Lin Yi." "Greetings, Elder Lu." Lin Yi cupped his fists slightly. He was surprised. This elder looked thin and weak, but his strength was shocking. He could see through Lin Ye's cultivation level and determine that Lin Yi was a new student. That was shocking. Lu Ruoxu looked at Lin Yi carefully. Suddenly, his expression changed slightly and he murmured, "Interesting." "Elder Lu," Peng Tianyu said hurriedly, "we still need 2 more people for the previous mission, right? I wonder if Lin Yi can do it? His strength is not weaker than mine." "All right," Lu Ruoxu said in a deep voice, "including him, we have enough people. Wait for me outside the elixir pavilion tomorrow morning. You can tell him the details of the mission. I won't say anything else." "All right, you can leave now," Lu Ruoxu said impatiently. He waved his hand and chased them away. Lin Yi and Peng Tianyu were both dumbfounded. They hurriedly left the stone room, but before they could leave, they heard a ping sound, and the stone room's door was fiercely slammed shut. Hiss, sucking in a breath of cold air, Lin Yi and Peng Tianyu looked at each other, their faces full of shock. "He agreed just like that?" The corner of Peng Tianyu's mouth twitched. He suddenly felt like crying. In order to accept this mission, he had put in a lot of effort and passed many tests. However, Lin Yi walked in directly. Chapter 528. Lin Yi and Peng Tianyu looked at each other in dismay. Lin Yi didn't expect to accept the mission so quickly. What happened to the test? Peng Tianyu, on the other hand, was incomparably depressed. Why was the gap between people so great? "I can go with you now?" Lin Yi rubbed his nose, looking confused. "Didn't you say there was a test?" "Don't look at me, I don't know either," Peng Tianyu said bitterly. "Back then, I went through a lot to join this mission." Cough cough. Lin Yi looked embarrassed. He asked softly, Let's not talk about this first. What does the mission ask us to do? Escort a batch of elixirs to the setting sun city. Someone will contact us when we arrive at the setting sun city. Pring Tianyu said with a grin, I don't think it'll be easy. Be careful on the road. That's not right. Lin Yi frowned. Isn't Cebu Gakuen the strongest force in the Sky Wave True Domain? Why do they need us to escort them? Don't tell me there are people who want to rob them? Of course they're not afraid of people, but of demonic beasts, Peng Tianyu said. The Saint Martial Mountain is very far from the setting sun city. We have to go to the Saint Spirit Mountain first before we can go to the setting sun city. It's inevitable that we'll encounter some powerful demonic beasts along the way. The elders can't escort us all the time. Plus, this is a good opportunity to train the students. Usually, the less important elixirs will be given out in the form of a mission for the disciples to complete. However, we have to be careful when we arrive at the setting sun city. Oh? What's so special about the setting sun city? Lin Yi rubbed his nose. He was quite curious. The Sunset City is coincidentally the border between the true heavenly domain and the 9 nether heavenly domain. That place is filled with all kinds of people. There are forces from both the true heavenly domain and the 9 nether heavenly domain. Pring Tianyu said helplessly, coupled with the fact that the authorities are far away, Cebu Gakuen and Juyo Dragon School aren't willing to spend their energy on it. Over time, Luori City fell into chaos. The people there and the forces there are very crazy, but they are very consistent when it comes to external issues. In addition, they know how to restrain themselves and never provoke Cebu Gakuen and Juyo Dragon School. The two forces are too lazy to deal with them, so they acknowledge their existence. As time passed, their forces grew stronger and stronger. They actually formed an alliance with some mysterious experts helping them. Although they won't provoke Cebu Gakuen, we still have to be careful when we send people to Sunset City. There's no guarantee that something will go wrong. So that's how it is. Lin Yi frowned slightly, still somewhat puzzled. Although Sunset City is chaotic, the auction there is very good. There are often some wonderful treasures there. Coincidentally, it starts in 5 days. We can go take a look. Peng Tianyu grinned. I'll go back and prepare first. Brother Lin, see you next time. With that, Peng Tianyu turned and left. Rubbing his nose, Lin Ye's interest in the upcoming trip to Sunset City was piqued. A chaotic city with wonderful treasures at an auction. Just the sound of it made one excited. Returning to the courtyard, Lin Yi first found Qinyue and told her the news. 10 days to half a month shouldn't be a problem, Qinyue said in a low voice. Coincidentally, we also need to prepare a few more things. The ruins are rather special. If you go to Sunset City, during the auction, if you come across treasures that can break restrictions or detoxify, remember to bid for some. I'll give you points then. Also, be careful when you go to Sunset City. That place is very chaotic. You know about Sunset City too? Lin Yi raised his eyebrows. Looks like that place will be very interesting. Of course it will be interesting, as long as you don't lose your life. Qinyue said indifferently. You're done talking, why aren't you leaving? You want to spend the night at my place? Ahem. Hearing that, Lin Yi immediately coughed and glanced at Qinyue. His heart skipped a beat and he suddenly walked up to Qinyue. He said gently, That's right. The night is long and you must be lonely and bored in this courtyard. I don't mind accompanying you. Qinyue looked coldly at Lin Yi, not shy or hesitant like other girls. She said indifferently, You should go back and instruct the Sky Sword sex development and sleep with your silent soul. Is there anything else? If there's nothing else, please go back first. I still need to cultivate. Half a month later, I'll have another match with you. Lin Yi curled his lips. Up to you. However, Miss Qinyue, during this time, I'll leave the safety of Silent Soul and the others to you. Although Shangguan Yunqi and the others aren't weak, they just joined the school and are still lacking compared to those old foxes. If anything happens, I'll have to rely on you. Don't worry, Qingyue said indifferently. If anything happens to the Sky Sword sect, I won't just stand by and watch. Qingyue seemed to be annoyed. Without waiting for Lin Yi to continue, she closed the door with a bang. Hiss, rubbing his nose, Lin Yi returned to his courtyard. Since coming to Cebu Gakuen, Sun Wuyu and Silent Soul had been working hard. Especially Silent Soul, who had improved by leaps and bounds. After telling the two of them about the mission, Silent Soul immediately asked to come along. Lin Yi pondered for a moment, but still rejected Silent Soul. Luori City was too chaotic, and Silent Soul's strength couldn't keep up. It was too dangerous. Moreover, the Sky Sword sect was in a period of development and needed Silent Soul. After giving Silent Soul and Sun Wuyu some Origin Heavenly Water, Lin Yi returned to his room. Once he returned to his room, Biluo urged Lin Yi to take the pill. This made Lin Yi very awkward. He wasn't the one who needed the pill, but he was the one who took it. It was a very strange feeling. Fortunately, those two elixirs were used to strengthen one's soul strength. After Lin Yi swallowed them, his soul strength and soul strength became even stronger. In his mind, Biluo absorbed the soul energy that leaked out. She even used Lin Ye's strength to strengthen her divine sense. Not long after, her figure became more solid, and she exuded a different kind of charm. 4 hours later, Biluo had absorbed all the soul energy. Her divine sense had stabilized, and there was no need to worry. Seeing this, Lin Yi couldn't help but let out a long sigh of relief. Biluo's recovery meant that he had another trump card in times of crisis. In the future, pay more attention to pills that can strengthen the soul and divine sense. Biluo was very satisfied. Then there are some treasures. The better the Chaos Divine Tree is nurtured, the faster I can recover. What treasures do I need to nurture the Chaos Divine Tree to its peak? Few. To nurture the Chaos Divine Tree, I need divine items. 10 divine items are enough to nurture the Chaos Divine Tree to its peak. 10 divine items? Chapter 529. Divine treasures could only be chanced upon by luck. So many saints in Cebu Gakuen had been searching for the Origin Heavenly Water. If they hadn't met Biluo, they probably wouldn't have realized that what they had been searching for was the Origin Heavenly Water. If I sense the aura of a divine treasure, I'll let you know. Biluo suddenly asked, should we send some Origin Heavenly Water to those cultivating in the small space? They've been cultivating for so long and it's too boring. It's not just draining their life force. Oh! Lin Yi was slightly surprised. He sensed that Luo Bingyue and Luo Ling had already cultivated to the half-true saint realm. Luo Bingyue's cultivation was the fastest. She had already broken through to the 7th tribulation half-true saint realm, and her domain wasn't weak. Also, their cultivation is good, but their domains are too weak. If possible, it'll be better for them to cultivate in the Chaos Divine Tree. Biluo said solemnly, otherwise their domains are too weak. Their foundations aren't stable, and their strength isn't comparable to others. Then what about you? Lin Yi frowned and asked, can you send the Chaos Divine Tree's energy over? Yes, but the effect isn't as good as here. It's fine. There's still a lot of time left for them. Lin Yi rubbed his nose and felt ashamed in his heart. During this period, he had neglected these women. When Luo Bingyue becomes a saint, I'll let them out. After secretly making up his mind, Lin Yi observed for a while. After confirming that Luo Bingyue and the others were fine, he began to cultivate. Bai Luo, on the other hand, improved the cultivation environment for the girls. The next day, in front of the pill pavilion, when Lin Yi arrived, Peng Tianyu had been waiting for a long time. There were 4 people standing beside him. Lin Yi sized them up and was secretly surprised. The 3 men and 1 woman were all at the peak of the Saint realm, and their strength was not inferior to the Taiyu brothers he had met last time. When the disciples passing by saw Peng Tianyu and the 4 people standing together, they were all amazed. It was obvious that their positions in the academy were not bad. "Ha ha ha, Brother Lin, you're finally here." Seeing Lin Yi, Peng Tianyu greeted him with a big smile. Seeing Peng Tianyu being so courteous, the 4 of them glanced at Lin Yi in surprise. When they realized that Lin Yi was still a 9th tribulation half-true saint, a look of shock appeared on their faces. Surnamed Lin, 9th tribulation half-true saint, one of the men suddenly said, "This person must be the leader of the new students, Lin Yi, right? I can't say that I'm the best. I'm just lucky." With a faint smile, Lin Yi sized up the other 4 people. The 4 of them also started to observe Lin Yi. Being able to enter the top 50 of the Saint Transforming list the moment you entered the academy, this is not something that can be done with luck. Another man suddenly laughed and said, "I've been in the academy for 10 years, and I barely managed to enter the top 100. Ha ha." Lin Yi laughed loudly. "That must be because brother didn't go to the blood refining ground. Otherwise, you would have entered the top 10 of the Saint Transforming list." Peng Tianyu suddenly put his arm around Lin Yi's shoulder and said with a smile, "Let me introduce the 4 of you. Lin Yi, the new student who has been in the limelight recently. Although his cultivation is low, his strength is not much weaker than mine. This time, Elder Lu specially called him to carry out the mission with us. He Liao Jingyu, Mo Pengcheng, Qingyang, Hong Ling." Seeing that Lin Yi wasn't arrogant, and with Peng Tianyu around, the other 4 temporarily recognized Lin Yi. Lin Yi was able to defeat Zhu Mingyong and enter the top 50 of the Saint Transforming list, which meant that he had the qualifications to be with them. However, Lin Yi's cultivation was too weak. They didn't dare believe that Lin Yi had the strength to fight against a peak saint. "Greetings, senior brother and sister." Lin Yi cupped his fists and glanced sideways at the girl. "This mission will be completed in the setting Sun City. It's more chaotic there, so don't cause trouble when the time comes." Qingyang's expression was indifferent. When he said this, the expressions of the people around him changed. "Brother Qingyang, you don't trust me?" Peng Tianyu raised his eyebrows. Lin Yi hurriedly pulled Peng Tianyu back and smiled. "Don't worry, I know what I'm doing." What a joke. Lin Yi's goal was to earn points, not to bicker with others. He had to hurry up and complete the mission. If Qingyang continued to cause trouble, he wouldn't mind teaching him a lesson. "That's more like it." Qingyang snorted and didn't say anything else. Peng Tianyu took a deep breath and stared at Qingyang with a cold expression. He was even more curious. Based on his understanding of Lin Yi, he didn't seem like a person who could endure. Furthermore, Qingyang's strength wasn't on par with his. With Lin Yi's strength, there was no need for him to endure. Just as Peng Tianyu was feeling curious, a skinny figure slowly walked out of the elixir pavilion. "Greetings, Elder Lu." Lin Yi and the others hurriedly bowed. Even Qingyang and the rest wore respectful expressions on their faces. "Everyone is here. Come with me." Nodding his head slightly, Elder Lu waved his hand. In an instant, an invisible flame surged. Lin Yi, Peng Tianyu and the others just felt the scorching heat. In the next moment, their bodies were already in the air and flying into the distance. The weak flame formed a layer of light that protected Lin Yi and the others. They didn't feel any fluctuations. Elder Lu's hands were behind his back. His sleeves danced wildly in the wind, looking like a god that had descended to the mortal world. "Such strength!" Lin Yi exclaimed. As expected, every elder in Cebu Gakuen couldn't be underestimated. Even this sickly-looking Elder Lu was an expert the moment he made his move. "Humph, inexperienced." Qingyang snorted in disdain. After an hour, their flying speed gradually slowed down. Elder Lu's figure descended and landed in a mountain range with the others. the light screen dissipated. Lin Yi, Peng Tianyu and the others looked around and were surprised. Elder, are we going to depart from here? Liao Jingyu asked. Wait a moment, someone from the inner yard will go with you. Elder Lu's voice fell. Suddenly, a gust of wind blew in the air and a space dragon appeared. On the space dragon, a young girl swung her legs as she sized up Lin Yi and the others. Lin Yi and the others raised their heads. When they saw the young girl, their mouths were slightly agape and they were stunned. The young girl was charming, with a delicate and pretty face. Her eyes were in high spirits, and she was quite quick-witted. The smile on her face gave people the feeling of bathing in the spring breeze. Her 2 canine teeth and a pair of small dimples made people unable to extricate themselves from her beauty. What a quick-witted young girl! Lin Yi and the others were surprised. This thought appeared in their minds at the same time. Sensing the surprise of Lin Yi and the others, the young girl's lips curled up and she suddenly jumped down from the space dragon. Chapter 530. Elder Lu, you've come quite early. Very few under the bright sunlight, the girl's smile was like a spring breeze that blew into everyone's hearts. Ha ha ha! Elder Lu suddenly laughed. Little girl, if you're late, you'll probably smash my cauldron again. TCH Elder, I'm not as domineering as you say. Glancing at Elder Lu, the girl's smile was radiant and especially moving. For a moment, Peng Tianyu and the others were dumbfounded. Even Lin Yi looked at the girl in surprise. Compared to Luo Bingyue, Luo Ling or Silent Soul, this girl's appearance didn't win, but she gave off a lively feeling that made people happy. Silly boys, stop daydreaming. As Elder Lu laughed, his voice contained an intense sound wave, startling everyone to their senses. After waking up, Peng Tianyu and the others blushed. They were incomparably embarrassed and didn't dare raise their heads to look at the girl. Lin Yi rubbed his nose and cupped his fists at the girl. Lin Yi greets senior sister. Oh! Hearing this, the girl was surprised. She sized up Lin Yi but didn't say anything. Let me introduce you, Elder Lu said in a deep voice. This is senior sister Shin Qinyun from the inner courtyard. She's ranked on the apex ranking. If you have any questions about cultivation along the way, you can ask her for guidance. Qinyun girl, these are all geniuses on the outer courtyard's Saint Transforming ranking. Who knows, they might be able to enter the inner courtyard soon. Hearing this, Peng Tianyu and the others hurriedly introduced themselves. Shin Qinyun didn't pay too much attention to their introductions. She nodded slightly and said in a low voice, Elder Lu, are you coming with us this time? I won't be coming with you this time, Elder Lu said in a low voice. There won't be any problems if we follow the same path as before. There are elders waiting for you in the setting sun city. Alright then, I'll leave first. Shin Qinyun smiled charmingly, turned around and left. Lin Yi, Peng Tianyu, and the others quickly excused themselves from Elder Lu, and immediately chased after Shin Qinyun. After everyone had followed, Shin Qinyun sped up. The 7 of them were as fast as lightning, shuttling through the mountains towards Sunset City. After Lin Yi and the rest left, Elder Lu immediately let out a long sigh of relief. Swish! Swish! Suddenly, a dozen figures appeared and landed beside Elder Lu. If Lin Yi and the rest were here, they would definitely be incomparably shocked. Flawless White, Murong Ning, and the other elders were among them. At this moment, Flawless White's group looked in the direction where Lin Ye's group had left with a comfortable expression. We've finally sent this brat out. Yeah, he's too good at causing trouble. If we let him stay in the outer yard any longer, I'm afraid even the Elixir Pavilion and Fire Cloud Arena will be finished. This time, you all owe me a favor. Don't forget. Elder Lu smiled. Elder Bai, don't forget to get me some herbs when you return to the inner yard. Sure, sure. Flawless White hurriedly smiled apologetically. Sunset City was not close to Cebu Gakuen. Even if they were saints, it would take them at least 3 days to arrive. As night approached, darkness descended, enveloping the entire mountain range. Lin Yi and the others quickly found a place to settle down and rest. In the mountain range, there were many demon beasts roaming at night. Their strength was comparable to the great sage. Lin Yi and the rest were unable to resist with their strength, so they could only rest. Shen Qingyun looked delicate and cute, but she was not careless when it came to doing things. After sprinkling the beast-repellent powder, she quickly started a fire and sat to the side. Lin Yi, Peng Tianyu and the other 4 sat to the side, silently watching Shen Qingyun. Qing Yang's hands were constantly shaking, as if he wanted to strike up a conversation with Shen Qingyun. After a while, Hong Ling stood up, walked to Shen Qingyun's side and sat down. Shen Qingyun did not refuse. Instead, she handed Hong Ling a piece of dessert with a gentle smile on her face. Seeing this, Qing Yang's expression suddenly became interesting. His eyes sparkled as he stared closely at Shen Qingyun. "Thank you, senior sister." Hong Ling hesitated for a moment, then took the dessert and ate it. However, when the dessert entered her mouth, Hong Ling's expression changed drastically. She only felt a burning flame, like a volcanic eruption, suddenly erupting from her mouth. She opened her mouth and spat out a whoosh sound. A flame spewed out. Seeing this, Lin Yi and the rest were shocked. They quickly stood up, frowning as they stared at Hong Ling. Shen Qingyun covered her mouth and laughed softly. Her eyebrows arched like a demon. Huff huff huff. Hong Ling only felt the flame spewing out from her mouth. She did not dare to open her mouth, nor did she dare to forcefully suppress the flame. In an instant, the temperature of the entire space was scorching hot. Hiss! This Shen Qingyun is definitely not someone to be trifled with. Seeing Shen Qingyun's bright smile, Lin Yi and the rest immediately understood that this was all Shen Qingyun's doing. Qing Yang swallowed a mouthful of saliva and suddenly took a few steps back. After a long while, Shen Qingyun stood up and waved her right hand lightly. A ray of light sprinkled into the flame. Poochie! Hong Ling only felt the heat in her heart dissipate. She immediately coughed, and all the flames disappeared without a trace. Shocked, Hong Ling staggered backward. She looked at Shen Qingyun with eyes full of shock. "Junior Hong Ling, you have to be more careful in the future." Shen Qingyun revealed a devilish smile. Her eyebrows were filled with mischief. "When you are outside, you must not trust anyone. Even if you are a senior from the Tong sect, you have to be careful." Gulp. Hong Ling's body trembled. Her heart was filled with fear. She did not dare to reply and only nodded slightly. She did not expect the senior from the inner yard to set a trap for her the first time they met. Slowly getting up, Shen Qingyun walked towards Lin Yi and the rest. In an instant, Qing Yang and the rest were filled with fear. They could not help but take a few steps back. Sensing this, Shen Qingyun could not help but cover her mouth and laugh softly. Lin Yi did not retreat. Instead, he stared at Shen Qingyun. He wanted to see what Shen Qingyun was up to. She walked until she was in front of Lin Yi. Realizing that Lin Yi's expression did not change and was staring at her, Shen Qingyun could not help but be surprised. "You are not afraid of me? We are both students of the academy. Why should I be afraid of you?" Lin Yi smiled. "You are not afraid of me teasing you?" Shen Qingyun's lips curled up. She looked at Lin Yi mischievously. Gulp. Seeing Shen Qingyun's devilish smile, Peng Tianyu, Qing Yang, and Hong Ling's hearts trembled violently. They took a few steps back. In the beginning, they had all treated Shen Qingyun as a fairy. They did not expect that hidden under her peerless face was a demon. If you are bored, Lin Yi does not mind. Chapter 531. Shen Qingyun stared at Lin Yi with a strange look in her eyes. In the past, when she teased others, she would either instill fear in them or make them stay away from them. Lin Yi was the first person who wasn't afraid of her. Humph. Shin Qingyun snorted softly and said, "It seems like this year's freshman's mental endurance is not bad." "Oh right, which family are you from?" "I don't remember the Lin family being a first-grade family." "Heh, senior sister Shin, do I have to be from a first-grade family?" Lin Yi raised his eyebrows. "Not from a first-grade family, yet you were able to defeat the seniors in the hunting war. You are indeed a legend." Shin Qingyun tilted her head and looked at Lin Yi with suspicion in her eyes. Before coming here, Elder Lu had told her about Lin Yi and told her to protect Lin Yi well. In addition to the failure of Yuan Mo and many other inner courtyard disciples, Lin Ye's name could be considered a little famous in the inner courtyard. Therefore, Shin Qingyun made a move to tease them to test Lin Yi. Not far away, Qing Yang and the others were dumbfounded. They didn't expect Shin Qingyun to know about Lin Yi. "I was just lucky." Lin Yi was neither servile nor overbearing. Senior brother Yuan Mo and the others are just his avatars. Coincidentally, my strength can restrain them. You even know this. Shin Qingyun blinked her eyes and asked abruptly, "I'm very curious, which family are you from, to be able to nurture such a monstrous genius like you?" A mere fifth tribulation half-true saint was able to defeat senior brother Yuan's avatars. In just a few days, you broke through to the ninth tribulation half-true saint realm. This kind of talent is definitely not ordinary. As soon as he finished speaking, Peng Tianyu, Qing Yang, and the others were shocked as they stared at Lin Yi. I don't have any family." Lin Yi said indifferently, "Senior sister, I'm just a lucky person from the heavenly purification territory. It's better for you to rest early in case something happens tomorrow." "Accident?" Shin Qingyun wrinkled her nose and snorted, "With me leading you, there will be no accidents. In the Tianlan True Domain, no one dares to go against Sibu Gakuan. Where are the demonic beasts?" Lin Yi shrugged. "The demonic beasts are gone too." Shin Qingyun waved her small fist. "Even if there are demonic beasts, I can guarantee everyone's safety." "Alright, senior sister, you're so cute. Whatever you say is right." Lin Yi was helpless. Seeing Shin Qingyun waving her fists, a strange feeling arose in his heart. You should have done this earlier." Shin Qingyun grinned, revealing a bright smile. At the side, Peng Tianyu, Qing Yang, and the others looked at Lin Yi and Shin Qingyun getting along with each other. Their expressions suddenly turned strange. Rumble. All of a sudden, the ground shook. Lin Yi, Shin Qingyun, and the others were shocked. They turned their heads and saw dust billowing not far away. A violent force was rippling towards them like a wave. Roar! At the same time, a loud tiger roar was heard. "Oh no, a demonic beast is attacking." Shin Qingyun's expression changed slightly. She turned to look at Lin Yi with a strange look in her eyes. She had just said that nothing would happen this time, and that demonic beasts would not appear. Now, a demonic beast was charging towards them. This was simply a slap in the face. Roar! The tiger's roar reverberated. The violent sound wave swept across the area. Lin Yi, Peng Tianyu, and the others felt a huge force coming towards them. They were almost blown away by the sound wave. "Oh no, that demonic beast is not weak." Realizing this, Lin Yi, Peng Tianyu, and the others' expressions changed drastically. Just a sound wave was enough to push them back. It was definitely stronger than them. "Let's go." Lin Yi, Peng Tianyu, and the others looked at each other and wanted to leave immediately. However, Shin Qingyun's voice interrupted them. "There's no need to run. That demonic beast is coming." As the biting cold voice faded, Lin Yi and the rest lifted their heads, only to see a giant tiger appear in the distance. It lifted its head and roared at the sky, as a berserk sound wave suddenly swept out. There was a pair of wings on its back that were emitting lightning. Every time it flapped, it would release a burst of energy that pushed the giant tiger forward. This is the Thunder Windchaser Tiger, a sage-level demonic beast. At its peak, its strength is comparable to an invincible sage. Hong Ling exclaimed, "Be careful. Its breath can trigger lightning." Amidst the exclamations, the Thunder Windchaser tiger had already arrived above Shen Qingyun, Lin Yi, and the others. Roar! Sensing the presence of Shen Qingyun and the others, the Thunder Windchaser tiger's breathing became heavier. Amidst its roar, more than a dozen thick lightning bolts the size of an arm fell from the sky. Haya, Annihilation Divine Dragon Transformation. With a light shout, Lin Yi activated the Divine Dragon's 9 transformations. His body arched as a powerful force suddenly surged out from his body. Roar! A dragon's roar resounded as lightning burst out from Lin Yi's body. Chaos energy emerged as he leaped into the air. Shen Qingyun, Peng Tianyu, and the others exclaimed in shock as he collided with the dozen thick lightning bolts. Crackle! Boom! 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 Violent lightning bolts fell from the sky. Shen Qingyun, Peng Tianyu, and the others' hearts tightened. They couldn't help but close their eyes and lean to the side. The power contained within those lightning bolts was especially violent. They dared not imagine what would happen to a mere ninth tribulation, half-true saint like Lin Yi if he was struck by those lightning bolts. However, in the next moment, Lin Yi's crisp bellow rang in their ears. Heavenly Emperor Fist. 7th Stage. Shen Qingyun and the others were startled. They quickly looked up and saw a figure standing proudly amidst the lightning bolt. A biting cold fist wind absorbed the lightning energy and condensed into a fist imprint. Bang bang bang! The 7th stage of the Heavenly Emperor Fist imbued with violent lightning energy slammed into the Thunder Windchaser tiger's abdomen. Roar! The Thunder Windchaser tiger didn't expect Lin Yi to be able to withstand its attack. Even more so, it didn't expect Lin Yi to counterattack. Caught off guard, the Thunder Windchaser tiger howled in pain. Roar, roar, roar! As it howled in pain, the Thunder Windchaser tiger's body fell from the sky, crashing heavily in front of Lin Yi and the others. In an instant, the earth quaked and dust flew into the air, shrouding Lin Yi and the Thunder Windchaser tiger's figures. Hiss, what a powerful force! Is this guy really a ninth tribulation half-true saint? Qing Yang, Hong Ling, Liao Zhengyu, and Mo Pengcheng stared at Lin Yi in shock. Peng Tianyu had fought with Lin Yi before, so he wasn't too surprised. He was already mentally prepared. Something's not right, Shen Qingyun exclaimed in shock. Although that attack just now is infinitely close to a peak saint, it's still far from enough to defeat the Thunder Windchaser tiger. That's right. Lin Yi's voice suddenly sounded from the dust cloud. This Thunder Windchaser tiger has been injured since a long time ago. Its back and wings are about to shatter. If that's the case, there are even stronger demonic beasts behind. Shen Qingyun's brows furrowed as she felt depressed. Chapter 532. Roar! As the dust settled, the tiger roared again. The Thunder Wind Seeker tiger struggled to get up. It bared its sharp teeth and swiped at Lin Yi. Whoosh! Its sharp claws swept across the air, bringing with them a strong gust of wind as it swiped at Lin Yi. With the destructive Divine Dragon transformation, Lin Yi was fearless. He raised his hand, punched, and pointed his finger. Celestial Emperor Fist. Sky-destroying finger. The shadow of a golden index finger appeared. Together with the violent fist wind, it collided with the Thunder Wind Seeker tiger's sharp claws. Bang! The moment the three collided, the sharp claws tore the shadow of the index finger and the fist wind apart. The next moment, the sharp claws whistled through the air as they swiped at Lin Yi. It was so fast that no one had time to react. Bang bang bang! The claws landed heavily on Lin Yi's body. The Taishan shield appeared, and the sound of metal clashing could be heard. The next moment, Lin Yi was sent flying like a cannonball. At the same time, a flash of lightning shot at the Thunder Wind Seeker tiger, causing its attack to pause for a moment. Lin Yi landed heavily on the ground. He felt as if a giant hammer had landed on his chest. The pain was unbearable, and his face was full of shock. He did not expect that the destructive divine dragon transformation and the Taishian shield would still be unable to withstand the Thunder Wind Seeker Tiger's attack. However, while Lin Yi was not satisfied, Shen Qingyun, Peng Tianyu, and the others were stunned. Even if the Thunder Wind Seeker Tiger was injured, its attack was not something that an ordinary pinnacle saint could withstand. Even Peng Tianyu and the other four could not say that they could withstand the Thunder Wind Seeker Tiger's attack without being injured. Now, he was able to retreat without being injured. It was already a glorious achievement. Roar! Seeing that Lin Yi was not injured, the Thunder Wind Seeker Tiger was enraged. It leaped, and 10 sharp claws popped out of its claws. It swiped at Lin Yi. Humph! At this time, Shen Qingyun finally reacted. She suddenly jumped up, and a sharp knife appeared. Like a hurricane, it converged in her direction. How dare you come here and injure a disciple of Sibu Gakuin when you're injured? You're courting death. Innocuous blade. With a clear shout, Shen Qingyun's entire body was shrouded in the aura of the saber domain. A long saber completely condensed from saber will and spiritual qi appeared in the air. This is the domain of saber that has broken through its shackles. Peng Tianyu and the rest were greatly alarmed. Their expressions when looking at Shen Qingyun were immediately filled with admiration. They had only comprehended several tens of thousands of domains. Unexpectedly, Shen Qingyun had already broken through the shackles. If they knew that Lin Yi had broken through the shackles of the domain realm when he was only a sage-to-be, they would probably die of shame. As the sharp blade will appeared, the Thunderbolt Windchaser Tiger's body trembled violently, and even its attack paused for a moment. Innocuous blade. In the next moment, the sharp blade will bloomed. The long saber was raised and slashed at the Thunderbolt Windchaser Tiger. The Thunderbolt Windchaser Tiger roared, and its claws slapped at the long saber that was completely condensed from blade will. Bang! 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 However, the domain of saber exploded, and the sharp blade will continuously slashed at the Thunderbolt Windchaser Tiger. Every time there was a slash, blood splattered in the air. Seeing this, Peng Tianyu and the others were shocked. They quickly closed their eyes. Lin Yi was also stunned. He looked at Shen Qingyun in surprise. He just realized that the girl who looked as harmless as a loli was actually an invincible saint. I didn't expect her to be an invincible saint. No wonder she always gives me a strong feeling. She called Yuan Mo senior brother earlier. It seems that Yuan Mo is even stronger. Phew, after entering the inner yard, I can't have peace anymore. Rubbing his nose, Lin Yi stared closely at Shen Qingyun. He wanted to see how different an invincible saint's techniques were. Roar! Shrill cries rang out continuously. After a while, the Thunderbolt Windchaser Tiger's cries became weaker. The blade will in the air also dissipated. When everyone looked over, they all sucked in a breath of cold air. The Thunderbolt Windchaser Tiger, which had been showing off earlier, was now covered in blade wounds. It was dripping with blood and on the verge of death. It looked especially terrifying. Humph, you dare to touch someone from Sibu Gakuin. This is what you get for daring to do. With a soft snort, Shen Qingyun raised her right hand. An icy blue short saber appeared, shining with a cold light. Wait a minute. Lin Yi suddenly stopped Shen Qingyun. He frowned and looked at the Thunderbolt Windchaser Tiger in confusion. At this moment, the Thunderbolt Windchaser Tiger was on the verge of death. Its mouth was moving, as if it wanted to say something. There was still a silvery white light shining on its abdomen. Shen Qingyun and Peng Tianyu looked at Lin Yi curiously. They did not understand why Lin Yi stopped Shen Qingyun. Senior Sister Shen, this Thunderbolt Windchaser Tiger seems to have something to say. There seems to be something in its abdomen. Rubbing his chin, Lin Yi suddenly took a step forward and said to the Thunderbolt Windchaser Tiger, before you die, do you have any last wishes? The Thunderbolt Windchaser Tiger was already severely injured. Coupled with Shin Qingyun's harmless blade, its life force had long been cut off. If not for its strong divine will, it would have died long ago. Therefore, Lin Yi did not save it. However, Peng Tianyu, Qing Yang, and the rest looked at Lin Yi in confusion. Huff! Huff! Hearing Lin Ye's words, the Thunderbolt Windchaser Tiger's huge eyes shone brightly. Crackle! Crackle! Lightning flashed. The next moment, a silvery white light shone on the Thunderbolt Windchaser Tiger's abdomen. A throbbing egg surrounded by lightning appeared and floated into Lin Ye's hand. Wait a minute. This is the Thunderbolt Windchaser Tiger's egg. TSK. This is good stuff. In an instant, Peng Tianyu and the rest were shocked. So, you're doing this for the child. Lin Yi took the Thunderbolt Windchaser Tiger's egg. With a thought, he said in a low voice, "Don't worry, I won't let it get hurt." As soon as he said that, a smile appeared in the Thunderbolt Windchaser Tiger's eyes. Then, the light in its eyes faded and it fell heavily to the ground. I didn't expect this Thunderbolt Windchaser Tiger to be so noble. Shin Qingyun rubbed her nose and said with a smile, "The Thunderbolt Windchaser Tiger is a saint-level spiritual beast. If it's nurtured well, it might be able to break through the shackles of an invincible saint. Congratulations. I only hope that it'll be safe." With a sigh, Lin Yi placed the Thunderbolt Windchaser Tiger's egg into the ninefold space. At the sight of that, Cheng Yang and Mo Pengcheng could not help but look envious. That was a saint-level spiritual beast. If nurtured well, its future would be limitless. Looks like someone's after the Thunderbolt Windchaser Tiger or some other spiritual beast. We shouldn't stay here for long. We should go. Shin Qingyun glared at Lin Yi in annoyance. You really have a crow's beak. We just finished talking and a spiritual beast is here. Cough cough. Let's not talk about that first. Let's leave first. Lin Yi asked awkwardly, where should we go next? Forward, of course. Chapter 533. Not long after Lin Yi, Shin Qingyun, and the others left, dozens of figures arrived. They were all dressed in black robes, emitting a gloomy and terrifying aura. Damn it! How did the Thunder Windchaser Tiger die? Damn it, someone actually dared to steal our corpse demon school's goods. When they saw the Thunder Windchaser Tiger's carcass, they were instantly enraged. They kept looking around, trying to find some clues. However, Shin Qingyun had already cleaned up the traces they left behind. They could not find anything at all. Hurry up and check the Thunder Windchaser Tiger. Damn it, if the egg in its belly is gone, we're doomed. Finding no clues, the men in black quickly went to the Thunder Windchaser Tiger's carcass and cut open its belly. Damn it, where's the egg in its belly? The egg is gone and so is the crystal core. This time we're really doomed. Looking at the empty abdomen, the black-clothed men were terrified. After a long while, one of the men in black looked up and said in a low voice, "Those guys must not have gone far. Everyone, spread out and chase after them. If you encounter any suspicious people, you'd better kill by mistake than let them go." Yes. In the dark night, Lin Yi, Shin Qingyun, and the others were like streamers, sweeping across the sky. After all, they were in the mountains. Lin Yi and the others only maintained their speed for a quarter of an hour before slowing down and lowering their bodies to avoid being discovered by powerful monsters. After a while, Lin Yi and the others saw a ball of fire. There's a bonfire in front. There should be people. Let's go, we'll stay there for the night. Shin Qingyun was delighted. She quickly sped up and rushed in the direction of the fire. In the mountains, they could not rest anywhere. They could not stay in the place they were looking for. It was already late at night, and it was not convenient to find another place to rest. They could only rely on others. Bang! 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 Suddenly, the crisp sound of metal clashing could be heard. A violent wind swept out and spread out. Oh no, there's a battle ahead. Noticing this, Shin Qingyun, Lin Yi, and the others immediately stopped and looked at each other. Shin Qingyun, in particular, had a strange expression on her face as she glared at Lin Yi, gnashing her teeth. In the past, they had never encountered such a situation in any of their escort missions. Now that Lin Yi had arrived, two strange things had happened one after another. Senior Sister Shin, what should we do next? Peng Tianyu and the other four looked at Shin Qingyun and asked. Let's go. Shin Qingyun gritted her teeth and said, let them fight, let's rest. I don't believe that someone would dare to disrespect Sibu Gakuin. Go! As soon as she finished speaking, Shin Qingyun took the lead and rushed out. This senior sister, looking at Shin Qingyun's back, Lin Yi couldn't help but reveal a bitter smile. This Shin Qingyun seemed to be acting in a fit of pique. There's such a method? Peng Tianyu, Qing Yang, and the other four were dumbfounded. However, when they recalled how Shin Qingyun had played with Hong Ling previously, they smiled helplessly and felt relieved. Given her character, she was fearless and fearless. Boom, boom, boom. As Lin Yi and the others got closer to the flames, loud explosions could be heard continuously. At the same time, dozens of figures fighting came into view. There weren't many of them, only a dozen or so. They were currently besieging 6 guards. In the middle of the group of guards, there was a young girl with a panicked expression on her face. Her hands were covering her chest as she knelt on the ground, seemingly protecting something. Around them, dozens of corpses were scattered in all directions. However, when Lin Yi and the others glanced at the corpses, they were shocked. The corpses had lost all their blood. Like withered branches, they had withered until only their bones were left. This is the method of the blood-refining sect. Shin Qingyun frowned and stared at the people who were fighting. Peng Tianyu and the others' faces changed, and they quickly rushed behind Shin Qingyun. Sensing the arrival of Shin Qingyun and the others, the people who were fighting stopped and immediately turned to look at Lin Yi and the others. Who are you? Hurry up and leave. This is none of your business. The leader of the besiegers stepped forward and raised his long saber. He looked nervously at Shin Qingyun and the others. The people who were besieged were overjoyed and they quickly shouted, Brothers, they are the notorious disciples of the blood-refining sect. Help! The young girl suddenly stood up and looked at Lin Yi and the others with hope in their eyes. Shut up! The leader of the blood-refining sect shouted. In an instant, blood-red radiance surged on his long saber. A strong smell of blood filled the air and suddenly shrouded the crowd. The blood-refining sect is here to carry out a mission. If you know what's good for you, leave this place quickly. After the cold shout, dozens of piercingly cold gazes swept across the crowd like knives. Only when they looked at Shin Qingyun, there was a special fluctuation in their eyes. Shin Qingyun rolled her eyes and ignored the crowd. She walked casually toward the bonfire. Whoosh, whoosh. In an instant, the sharp blades were all pointed at Shin Qingyun. Humph. Sensing this, Shin Qingyun let out a soft cry, and a surge of saint energy suddenly erupted, causing everyone's hearts to tremble. The people who were besieged, including the young girl, were suddenly ecstatic. With such an expert around, they could definitely save their own lives. However, in the next moment, Shin Qingyun's words sent chills down their spines, as if they had fallen into an ice cellar. We are just resting here. We will not delay you. If you want to fight, then fight. After saying that, Shin Qingyun yawned and waved at Lin Yi and the rest. In an instant, the crowd's mouth twitched. Even Lin Yi and the rest were stunned. Earlier, they had thought that Shin Qingyun was just joking, intending to rest here after the group of people had finished their battle. They did not expect that Shin Qingyun would come here to rest while they were fighting. The people of the blood-refining sect looked at Shin Qingyun's expression and suddenly felt strange. Was there a mistake? They were here to kill, not to perform for others. I advise you to leave this place quickly. The leader raised his blood-red long saber and shouted coldly, "If you continue to stay here, don't blame my long saber for being rude." Hearing this, Shen Qingyun frowned slightly. She turned her head to look at that person, and the expression in her eyes gradually turned cold. "Interesting. How dare you threaten me?" Her voice gradually turned cold and murderous, like a cold wind blew toward the crowd. "Leave quickly. Otherwise I will kill you too." "Kill her for what? This girl is so beautiful. Wouldn't it be a waste to kill her?" Seeing that Shen Qingyun was unwilling to leave, the leader did not have time to speak. The people around him looked at Shen Qingyun greedily. Chapter 534. Although her smile was bright, a chill ran down everyone's spine. Especially Lin Yi and Peng Tianyu. When they looked at the disciples of the blood-refining sect again, their eyes were filled with pity. Although Shen Qingyun looked cute, she was a complete devil. Moreover, she was very powerful. The lightning wind-chasing tiger, which was comparable to an invincible saint, could not even withstand one slash from her, let alone the disciples of the blood-refining sect, who were only at the peak of the saint realm. How dare they provoke her like this? They were courting death. Other than the leader of the disciples of the blood-refining sect, the rest of them were still looking at Shen Qingyun greedily. It had to be said that Shen Qingyun's appearance and figure were too tempting. Moreover, she gave off a false impression. For a moment, the disciples of the blood-refining sect gave up on attacking her and gradually moved closer to Shen Qingyun. Shen Qingyun raised her eyebrows and said coldly, "Do you want me to play with you? What a hot chick!" Hearing this, the disciples of the blood-refining sect laughed and looked more unscrupulous. Just as the leader of the disciples was about to order them to leave, his body trembled. His mouth suddenly went numb and he could not speak. Suddenly, the leader of the disciples was terrified. He looked at Shen Qingyun in shock, and the ominous feeling in his heart grew heavier. He was sure that he had kicked an iron plate this time. His strength was infinitely close to that of an invincible saint, but he was still silently restrained by someone. This showed how terrifying the person who had secretly attacked him was. Since you guys want to play so much, then go play in hell." Shen Qingyun's face darkened. A whistling wind surged and the violent saber essence gathered to form an ice-blue long saber. Feeling the violent energy, the disciples of the blood-refining sect suddenly panicked and their faces changed drastically. Surging saint energy gushed out of their bodies. However, before they could organize their defenses, the icy blue long saber had already flashed through the sky and swept across their bodies. The sharp saber chi pierced through heaven and earth. The bodies of the blood-refining sect disciples stiffened. In the next moment, they lowered their heads and were horrified to find that their bodies had shattered like a broken mirror. PFFF. The saber chi was biting cold. Amidst the violent vibrations, the bodies of the blood-refining sect disciples were ground into a bloody mist. Even though Lin Yi, Peng Tianyu, and the others had experienced countless battles, they couldn't help but gasp at this sight. Sure enough, those who angered Shen Qingyun would end up in a miserable state. It turns out that the inner court disciples are so strong. The faces of Lin Yi, Peng Tianyu, and the others were solemn. They finally understood the difference between the inner courtyard and the outer courtyard. These people could be said to be first-rate experts in the outer court, existences in the top 50 of the saint transforming list. However, when they faced Shen Qingyun, they realized that it was really difficult to make up for the difference in strength. Cough, cough. At the side, the leader of the blood-refining sect felt his body lighten. Only then did he realize that the imprisonment had been broken. He immediately coughed. Touching his arms and cheeks, the leader was shocked. He couldn't believe that he was still alive. The saber chi just now was so powerful that even he wasn't confident that he could block it. Moreover, he was imprisoned at that time. You didn't tease me just now. As if sensing the man's surprise, Shin Qingyun revealed 2 canine teeth and smiled brightly. I'm in a good mood, so I'll forgive you this time. Thank you, miss. Thank you, miss. Hearing this, the man was ecstatic and kept kowtowing. No one was willing to give up their life. However, he did not realize that Lin Yi, Peng Tianyu, and the others' faces had changed slightly. Their eyes were filled with pity. Believing in Shin Qingyun's words was equivalent to having one foot in hell. But after all, you are from the same sect as them. Touching her nose, Shin Qingyun tilted her head and said doubtfully, "What if you call people to deal with me after you go back? The blood-refining sect is quite powerful. There are also quite a number of great sage realm experts. I don't want to offend some great sage realm experts for no reason." As she said this, Shin Qingyun bit her lips. She looked extremely tempting. Even those who were besieged earlier were stunned. They could not help but swallow a mouthful of saliva. "No. I won't." The man was terrified. He did not want to die, so he could only grab hold of the life-saving straw. "Miss, as long as you let me live, I won't say anything. I, Jia Xiu, swear to the heavens that I won't bring you any trouble." Bang! 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 The sound of kowtowing could be heard. The onlookers looked strange. Those who were besieged earlier had given up on running away. "I see." Shin Qingyun squinted her eyes and said with a smile, "But an oath can't completely restrain you. If you don't say anything, maybe you will write it down." Hearing this, Jia Xiu frowned and gritted his teeth. He did not know what to do. Shin Qingyun did not say anything. She just looked at Jia Xiu with a smile. Her eyes gradually turned cold. Realizing this, Jia Xiu became more anxious. He was sure that if he could not come up with a solution, Shin Qingyun would definitely attack him. "How do you want to solve this?" Shin Qingyun smiled. 2 dimples appeared on her face. She looked quite cute. However, Jia Xiu's heart was filled with fear. Gulp! Swallowing a mouthful of saliva, Jia Xiu suddenly made up his mind. He switched the knife in his right hand to his left hand and slashed at his right hand. "Ah! Poochie!" In a shrill scream, the sharp knife cut through his wrist. In an instant, blood splattered and a severed hand fell to the ground. Everyone's heart trembled. Looking at the severed hand on the ground, they could not help but gasp. "Hiss! This guy is so cruel to himself. That girl looks so cute. I didn't expect her to be like a devil. Ha ha ha." Shin Qingyun immediately laughed and clapped her hand. "Not bad, very smart. However, you've only lost one hand. What are you going to do with the other?" "I drip, drip." Blood kept dripping on the ground. Jia Xiu's face was pale and his body kept trembling. However, the coldness in his heart was far worse than the pain of losing his hand. "Miss." Jia Xiu trembled and said with difficulty, "My right hand is broken. Is this not enough to show my sincerity?" "Don't worry, I will not betray you. If you don't believe me, then you're tuning in to the Phoenix Knights YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.